can say Sue's last name.
Good evening and welcome to the Norfolk Board of Selectmen's meeting of Tuesday, March 26th. I need to remind everyone that this meeting is being both audio and videotaped. My name is Jim Lehan. To my right is Mr. Rob Garrity. To my left is Mr. Scott Bugby. And to his left, Jack Hathaway, our town administrator. And Sue Jacobson is sitting in for Marion Harrington, who is a little under the weather this evening. So we certainly hope she gets better. Jack, would you read the agenda, please?
Be happy to. At 7 p.m., call the meeting to order. First order of business, we have the Zoning Bylaw Study Committee. Following that, we have the Town Administrator report, including budget and town meeting warrant discussion. Action items, including consider an old cart path as the street name for Oak Knoll Estates. Consider allowing NCL to hold their annual Nearly New Sale. And a request from the Friends of the Library to install a banner on Town Hill. Discussion items include the need for a town planner, acceptance of minutes, and an early adjournment.
Nice try.
Thank you, Jack. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And more importantly, thank you for getting us the articles. The reason I was hoping you could join us, this is informational in nature. These are your articles. We're not voting on them here this evening. It's not our role to do that. But it's helpful to know your thinking and the logic behind these changes. And I think it's also a good opportunity for folks at home to hear that same logic, because it's tough to go through these at town meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Have any understanding. So it is as much for the home audience as it is for us.
Okay.
Okay. So if you'll introduce yourselves.
I'm Bob Nicodemus on the Zoning Bylaw Study Committee as the, I guess I'm the chair.
Bob's the chair. I'm Walter Byron, a member of the Zoning Bylaw Study Committee.
We appreciate you being with us. Thanks.
You're welcome.
All yours, Bob and Walter.
We've brought together a series of 5 or 6 articles that involve zoning, and 2 of them, which I will get into, are from the fall town meeting that we wanted to reintroduce because they didn't get a majority vote at that meeting. The first article, as we got the warrant listing by alphabet, I don't know that this will be the way it is, but we kept the same letters. It deals with the C1 district's drives and the issue of a frontage road, all of which the building commissioner and eventually the Zoning Bylaw Study Committee, with discussions with the planning board, agreed should be revised because there were conflicts and challenges that were starting to impact development, and a lot of the development in the C1 district that these were intended for had already been created. Mm-hmm. So we've had several difficulties, and that was the inspiration for Article R, which deals with deleting a lot of the drives language, redefining the allowable distance between drives, and adding the words where practicable to give the planning board the opportunity to negotiate solutions that would work. And that's the way it's written, and that's the logic behind it. There is one minor modification. We just double used a phrase in the very last sentence of Article R that dealt with the section J4A8. The word shall not be more than is said twice. So we're going to scratch that out. These documents have been submitted in Word format to Marion and Betsy, so that won't be a difficult issue. Article S deals with the C1 district and the request.
If I may just,
Yep.
It also eliminates the frontage road.
It does eliminate the frontage road, and it does allow for the same height of building in the C1 district that is now allowed in the B1 district, which is the 46 feet. Article S deals with the C1 district, and it is intended there to create 4 sub-districts because in the last since the 1st of January, there has been a special request from 2 different landowners to have consideration for alternative uses in that area. One was from the chip storage to be allowed to store cars somewhere, and we selected a location that he said he is interested in purchasing, and we didn't want to be able to store 150 cars anywhere in the C1 district, so we restricted it to a single sub-district. Just to confuse you all, I brought these maps that show where each of these are that Gino Carlucci has created. And the one element that came up was that there would be a sub-district off-highway known as C1C, and that is to be located off of Sherwood Drive and Pond Street. That is the C1C district, and because we already have a adult business overlay within that quadrant, we decided at several meetings with a number of people, including the building commissioner and others, that because medical marijuana is starting to become an issue, we would include that in that overlay district. This is an enlarged map of that if you want to see it. That's the C1C, and it defines the three districts. And it came about that we discovered in the process that one of the parcels in that overlay district had been consolidated in 1998 to a single property. So while we in the zoning bylaws currently have 4 properties listed, there aren't 4 properties, there's only 3. So this corrects all of that. The next item in this category S dealt with the auto freight storage being located in what we called the subdistrict C1B, which is off of Sharon's Avenue, and it's where the Shire Industrial Park is, and that's the properties that he has under agreement and would like to relocate his business from Walpole to there. So this would allow that to happen. We then got a request at the same time
Created a definition too.
and created a definition here which is listed for auto freight storage and has been reviewed by the applicant and reviewed by Gino and Bob Bullock to the building commissioner to get to that. In the same process, there was a request to consider allowing a residential use somewhere in the C1 district, and we met with the property owner that brought it up, and that now would be considered for the location C1D, which is off of Valley Street. And
Pondville.
Mm-hmm.
So that then we had these two maps that I gave you are in the zoning bylaws, and we asked that they be substituted for new zoning maps, one that shows the C1C district in enlarged format and one that shows all of the C1 district with the new sub-districts identified by location as a map as opposed to a verbal description. Now we move to the Article U, which is bringing Article 16 of the Fall Town Meeting back again, opting to see if we could have the property off of Rockwood Road, which is owned by Paul Kelly, be integrated into the non-business core B1 district. And then we introduced Article V.
Can I just go on Article U for a second?
Yep.
There were unanswered questions that we had at the last town meeting associated with this. We will have those answers by town meeting. Okay.
Yes, and there will be a formal presentation, and we've gone through that, and then we have 2 or 3 people that are
Right, and
prepared
that's part of the logic of why you're bringing it
Yes.
back. Okay, just so folks at home know that it's not, there are Kids Place, Access Road, questions of that nature that were asked that we did not know the answers to.
Yep.
Article V deals with Article 10 from the Fall Town Meeting, where we were attempting to get the residential density in the B1 District Business Core to be such that it would allow 32 bedrooms per lot. And what we have changed from Article 10, then the word lot was never defined in the zoning article. It was further buried in another portion of the zoning bylaw. So we brought it forward and inserted it here, saying lot size at 30,000 square feet or greater to define what the word lot meant. Because there was a fair amount of confusion that there could be lots of 5,000 square feet or lots of whatever. And so that was the major change that we're introducing here. There was a change introduced by the planning board that further confused the discussion by adding the word units per acre. We asked the planning board if we could eliminate that because that confusion wasn't something that we really felt was necessary, and they agreed. So this is the same one with the planning board's one add-on deleted. And Article W...
Sorry. I heard from the town clerk that the Attorney General had some issues with the original article. Does this address those issues?
The issue here that the Attorney General could have an issue with is the concern for the words 2 bedrooms per unit. And since this is part of the existing bylaw and not being changed, we don't think that it is challengeable by the Attorney General. If you wanted to create a new bylaw with that limitation, you would have a problem. But because we're not creating anything more than defining the word lot at 30,000 square feet, we don't think there will be a problem there.
Okay.
And then the final article was Article W. Again, we were told to keep this for the time being. This is to see if the town will vote to place a moratorium on a bylaw that would allow medical marijuana treatment within the town of Norfolk involving sale of medical marijuana. We're taking any other action there to effective through June 2014. And that is the language that has been adopted by 4 other towns and approved by the Mass Attorney General in 2 cases.
Why did he turn down the other 2?
In one case, they chose to not allow marijuana treatment at all, and they said you cannot disallow it. And he rejected disallowing that use at all.
Or she.
Or she.
Yeah.
Martha.
I know.
So we were told that this language follows the format of the language that it was deemed acceptable.
And the logic behind this moratorium?
That because the regulations as they now stand on how medical marijuana will be followed have not yet been defined formally enough for anybody to implement them, we felt that we shouldn't suggest that we would allow it anyhow. We would take the action that 4 other towns have been approved to take, which is to wait until the state has gotten their act together and finalized the regulations that the towns can then adopt. We did, and we're encouraged to say, find a home that could be the place for this anyhow, but allow its use not to be implemented until the regulations by the state have been defined to a point that they can be implementable.
But you can't do it until the regulations are in effect in the state anyway. So DPH says they're going to have the regs out by May 1st. Maybe they won't. But you can't have a dispensary until the DPH regs are out. So it's sort of a circular argument saying we're going to moratorium them until the regulations are out because, well, they can't have any dispensaries until the regs are out anyway. So it's...
The sense of this whole thing, and the reason
Yep.
the other 4 towns were successful here, is that they don't believe once the regulations come out that they'll be automatically enforceable, implementable, or anything else, and they don't want that plague to deal with for a year.
But they won't have it because
They will have it in May.
we won't have any say in the licensing in these facilities. They have to get a state certificate.
Yeah.
So we will have no say. If the state wants to give certificates, they'll give them. If they don't want to give certificates, they won't give them. If they give certificates and we don't have a place for them, to me it sounds like it's much the same as adult entertainment. So if you don't have a place set up for it, they can do it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
This was passed by 63% of the Commonwealth voters.
But we allowed for a place in Article S.
Well, no, this is a moratorium on that.
No, this is a moratorium on the use, not a moratorium on the location.
No, well, we don't have a bylaw about the use. We don't, this is also, okay, if that's the case, then this is poorly
The issue
written.
is that, the issue is that if medical marijuana were going to be an allowed use, we would have a definition of it. And we have not finalized that at all.
So that's, so, but Bob,
We've created now a definition
uh-huh,
that is the state's definition. And it can be put into the use
right.
location.
So this is meaningless because once the state does their certificates, a moratorium is then going against what the Attorney General was upset about, which was you can't say no. You, town, cannot reject the will of the voters to allow these things.
Except that they've said you can until June 14,
2014.
2014. With this same language.
They didn't, I still.
It doesn't hurt. I mean, they approved it, like you said, they approved that language.
Well, why do it?
I know, why,
Why do it? Why?
Well, that's entirely up to you. We were reacting to the fact that this was a proactive way to delay having to deal with something that didn't have regulations now, but will have them on or before the time of town meeting.
And this was initiated by Copeland and Page. I don't.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question, Rob. You say why have it, and I would say why not? I mean, if the Attorney General has approved it, and apparently it is fact that he has, therefore it would be binding. I know this is always fun. We do this all the time. It would be binding. Frequently, you know of all folks that frequently when the state comes out with new regulations associated with any particular new issue, it is convoluted at best.
Yeah.
And it's going to take some time to sort it through. So if they're out in May, it's going to take several months for this to sort through, perhaps even longer. We're establishing a location. That is irrelevant of the moratorium. What is the harm?
I'll tell
Because
you
the
what
worst that
harm
can the worst that can happen is that the Attorney General comes down for whatever reason, and I don't think they can if they once approve it. But let's say they did, you haven't lost anything.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the members, because this speaks to an inherent philosophy of governing. You say, why not? And I say, why have it? I say government has to prove a reason why they're going to stop an activity. See, the onus is on government to prove why we need to do the moratorium, not on the use that is subject to the moratorium to prove that they're worthy. I am for less and less and less government. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to place moratoriums on things that 63% of the voters want. I don't want to put government in every nook and cranny. Get it out. Let freedom ring. See, I think philosophically there has to be kind of this litmus test. Do you think that the onus is on the government to prove why they should do something, or the onus is, or the default position is, okay, well, let's do this. Why not do this? Why not make the speeding limit 25? Why not? Why not?
I don't view this as a governance issue. You view this more as an understanding issue. If we don't have any regulations at this point in time, we don't know what they are. And when they come out, we both know that the state has been a little shaky in terms of having them thoroughly thought through and worked through. All we're doing is buying ourselves some time for that to occur. No one's saying we're going to prevent what the voters have asked for.
What could we possibly do once the regs are out and we don't like them? What could we possibly do differently? Nothing.
That's not my point.
Once-
My point is that the
moratorium.
regs could come out and be not well thought through.
And
they may find that they have to correct them. And we may, in some instance, be somewhat subjected to issues that we don't want if they're not appropriately thought through, that we can't correct.
if the regs are poorly written and they get changed, the dispensaries will be under the new regulations. Okay, if there's like
True.
some reg that says you
It
can
could be
go,
grandfathered, though.
well, no, what
I know
could
you're saying,
possibly
yeah.
you get grandfathered? I mean, for us, the only thing we control as a town is where uses can go and what kind of things they have to mitigate. You know, we have to make sure that health, safety, and welfare are taken care of. This is out of our hands on this issue. The health, safety, or welfare issue is yes or no. It's not like we're going to come up with a zoning regulation that says we'll only allow medical marijuana in these certain circumstances. Our zoning regulation is going to say you got to be 40 feet back from the sideline. You can be here in this lot and this lot. And by the way, we're doing the same sort of cockamamie little, faux zoning that I would if I were a normal human being and not a town official, would call spot zoning anyway. 3 lots, 2 of which are underwater, I think.
No, they're all buildable.
Okay,
They're
the
all
one next to
building
it's
one.
underwater.
Yeah.
And it just goes to your basic core philosophy. Do you want the question to be whether we allow it by grace of our mighty governance, or whether there is freedom of people to do things that are legal? Medical marijuana, 63% of the voters have said medical marijuana is legal. We want it. All right.
Not sure
It's
everyone wants it in their
time's
body.
up. I don't want a Walmart, but God darn it, it's legal,
What's on there? But
You all set?
People got to get something for watching this.
Well, as long as we're not competing with Castle, we got a shot at it. I wouldn't philosophically disagree with your logic. We've experienced a number of times where the state has been a little bit remiss in having any form of clarity around what should or should not occur around issues like this. And I, for one, would like to see those sorted through. This isn't, to me, an issue of government trying to regulate the process. I think it's just a little bit more on the side of erring on, have a little bit of caution as to whether or not this thing will be thoroughly thought through, thoroughly positioned, thoroughly understood, with the consequences of that decision thoroughly understood, and we buy a little time to figure that out.
Okay, you done?
So I'm done. We'll do a Mutt and Jeff routine in town meeting and see how
We're
we
going to
do.
put this one late in the night as a reason to keep
Oh, no,
people.
this should go right off the bat.
Right up.
So that's our
Aren't you glad that you hung around for that one?
We just wanted to get the
Yeah.
information in front of everybody. As
How
I
did the
said.
advisory board react to that, just out of curiosity?
The advisory board didn't react. What they said was they wanted to know what the issues were that we were trying to identify, because they didn't go into detail about any of the zoning articles other than to understand the basic premise of why it was here.
Got it. Well, it'll be a good
And
point
believing that
counterpoint.
there will be another advisory board meeting that
Tomorrow
will
night. There's one
discuss
tomorrow night. Yeah.
when, what, and why.
Okay.
I have a
By
question
all
actually
means,
about
sir.
another one. On Article S, where you're splitting into the 4 subs.
Yep.
And you create the residential district. What's the thought on requiring it to be a multi-family district instead of allowing single-family residences? I mean, you got single-family residences there right now,
Yes.
and those are the only things there right now.
Yeah.
So is it just like, our obsession with multi-family housing is kind of...
Are you saying to allow it or require it?
It's
You-
only,
you
it's
said-
only multis.
But you said, okay.
To only allow multifamilies.
We were reacting to what we thought was the most logical use to go forward. That single-family development in a commercial zone adjacent to all other commercial properties was, we didn't think so
But-
likely.
This will shock you. Rob raises a good point. Why restrict it?
There you go.
We were only reacting to the issues of the property owner that was interested in the
Right,
development.
and that's okay.
And that property owner, by the way, was talking about a multi-use building.
That's okay, but what happens if they wanted to change their mind?
Nothing.
And we've got a bylaw that wouldn't allow it.
If we changed it in that direction.
Right.
That's true.
No, I'm not suggesting that you make it only. I'm just saying have the option, the flexibility. There's
Those houses are non-conforming right now anyway, right? I mean, they're in C1,
Yes,
which
they
is
are.
no residential's allowed anyway.
They're probably grandfathered, though.
but they
Well,
are
yeah,
they
yeah.
are granted. Yeah.
May I?
Sure.
On Articles U and V, we had thought that it would be useful for someone to stand up and talk about what we're really trying to do in the P1 district.
Absolutely. We missed that at the last meeting.
Right. So someone needs to do that. Either we need to do it or you need to do it.
Well, it's your article. I mean,
Well, sure, but coming from the selectmen, it would carry a little more weight than coming from some unknown fellows on the zoning bylaw study committee.
Or possibly the planning board.
Well, that's true. The planning board could get up and talk about
That's what messed it up the last time.
I don't mind. Yeah. You okay? We'll do it.
it. Okay, fair enough.
You think it's worth showing the video again?
Well, I think we need to show a map that clearly shows where this property is as it relates to the B1 district.
Well, we had that map, it just wasn't red arrowed enough.
We need to have it red arrowed and clearly just illustrate it. We'll own that then. Okay.
The video might bring up the other issue, which we can't get money for.
Right. Rob's still working on that.
The bridge to prosperity.
Yes.
Okay, we'll own it.
Understood. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you both. Thank you very much.
Can I have one of the map copies, please?
What, this one?
Here, you can have this one.
Thank you.
Now you want to steal mine?
Thank
Like
you.
you usually steal my papers?
You handed it off.
Thank you for your
So
patience.
kindly.
Thanks, guys.
And please don't take any offense if you were the guys who thought the moratorium was a great idea.
That came up on the list, since we're doing zoning articles, that was one that seemed to be worth
And it
considering.
was actually a recommendation from town council. It was
Right, that's right, yeah.
That's why you're against it.
Lawyers.
Came
See,
from
we need to get
lawyers.
involved. Yeah.
Do you have 30 seconds for one?
Commercial?
Wall issue?
For what? For what?
A dart on the wall issue? I have had.
Sounds like a dangerous issue, but we'll give it a shot.
I know, the question was, I have been contacted by somebody that I believe you've talked with, a gentleman named
Bill Rayner?
Bill Rayner.
Yep.
And he is looking for some kind of a database of what the development potential in the town center is, because it's part of a smart growth program that he's doing.
I'm aware of this.
And
Yeah.
I said I would talk with the planning board and the selectmen about whether or not we would be able to provide him with such a data
Mm-hmm.
scenario. That information exists in databases that go back from 2008 to 2010, and they could be brought forward, and
Mhm.
planning board and selectmen could look at it before they go out, but I said I would at least ask if it was worth. He's looking to try and see if there is a way to identify in the smart growth format residential, multifamily residential options that would fit that model. And he doesn't have any information on Norfolk, who has a
Right.
train station.
I'm-
So I said I would ask
Yeah.
if that was okay to assemble
You okay with
information
it?
for
Yeah.
consideration.
Rob,
by-
you okay with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
by
me too.
everybody to look
Absolutely.
at.
Yeah.
There's no downside.
Okay.
So we were joined by another member of the committee, Lori Scholl, who slipped out.
Sorry. All right, Jack, you're on.
All right.
Thank you, Bob.
Where to start? So I got some information on the budget. You don't need the warrant. Oh, we have to,
Maybe if we don't let you have coffee.
That was quiet last week.
You were.
can we start, Matt, if we start with the warrant? You want to do the warrant? And
Sure.
Get out of the way.
We need to number this tonight, too.
So you need a copy of.
Oh, there it is. I got it. It hasn't changed, has it?
I don't think so.
Want one though?
Aaron's not here, so it doesn't change.
You have one, Rob?
I just gave him one.
Oh, okay.
You don't have one now.
I don't have one. What's new?
Okay, so we got to take this and the stuff we received from the Economic Development Committee today and merge them.
Have we made a decision on Article D?
If we want to, so those are the department heads, if we want to maintain them with the union contracts, including the,
I didn't mean D. I apologize. I meant C. I'm sorry.
oh, for some reason, that's the one I thought you meant.
Oh, good.
If we want to keep the department heads equal with the administrative staff, then we should make it 1.5%. If we want to do something different, obviously, then make it.
We in agreement? We're in agreement.
If we can afford it.
We'll have that discussion in a minute. Okay.
So we have You want, well, you want to try and number them?
Well, yeah, we need to, it'd be good to have them in the right order for the advisory board tomorrow night.
Yep.
Bob's committee had asked if we would not leave the zoning articles till the bitter end and have them more towards the front. So, I agree, we need a large audience or as many folks as we can for that. So I was going to suggest we put the zoning articles right after the budget,
Budget, yep.
if that's agreeable with you guys.
Yep.
Right after the water budget.
Right after the water budget, yeah.
So what about committee reports?
I would do that right after the zoning articles, unless you want to do it before. What's your pleasure?
I would do the zoning earlier. Earlier the better, I think.
Do you want
You okay?
Yeah.
to jump ahead a little bit, our budget is obviously still a challenge, so do you want to, well, we could just IP the capital budget. I mean, we haven't gotten into capital. I assume we're not going to do capital at the spring meeting.
We're not.
I think the snow made sure of that.
Yeah.
So we'll get rid of Article G.
I'll either get rid of it or just IP it, whichever you prefer.
We'll IP it. I'd rather leave it on, actually. At least it brings attention to it. Okay.
So if you're treating the normal, routine budgets and stuff, so budget is 2, 3, 4, 5 on the first page, right?
Yep.
And 6 is the water budget, and then jump to zoning.
I'll make capital the 7th.
Well, we could IP Capital 7, then go to zoning. Are they in here? They are.
It's Article R on page 5.
So that would be 8. Oh, that's a long one.
Well, but it's shorter and is what he gave us tonight.
Yeah. So S is 9, T is 10.
Wait a minute. T won't be in there.
That's
T's
repeat, I
the
think, yeah.
dupe.
Correct, T will not be. Yep, you're right.
You then.
U is
So
10.
U is 10.
V is 11 on that
Yep.
same page. And then W is 12.
Oh,
Med-mal.
You want to make W number 1, just so you can get an early start?
Now, I don't want to be seen as too crazy too early.
That limits your potential.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Did you say U is 10?
You was 10, yeah.
U is 10, yes.
Yeah, because T is a dupe, right?
Yeah, that's what he said there.
No, T is 10.
No,
No,
T is
T is-
duplicate.
We're going to strike.
Sorry,
Okay.
correct. U is 10.
D is 11, W is 12.
Yeah, why are we even question if we have Sue?
Exactly. Now, the next two over there,
Then you want to do the committee report?
those are committee reports, yeah.
So that's F.
That'd be 13, right?
Yep.
Yes, Jeff?
Yep.
Just 13. That makes me laugh.
And I
Now,
don't-
you could either go into some of the routine, boring ones, or the two school ones are pretty chunky, the 350.
So is Old Town Hall. And so is the meeting agenda. Meeting format, town meeting format.
Well, you can't have them all up front.
We most certainly can. All right, you want to put some of the boilerplate ones in there? I don't want to save those two till the end.
No.
I mean, the zoning articles are going to take a little bit of time.
So then maybe give people a break, then you throw in a couple. The easy one, like you said, the ones that,
The hammocks.
To create a little boredom to get
not
ready for
boredom,
the
no,
fun
just to
time.
give people a pause for a second, so they don't have to constantly.
They can go to the bathroom.
So now we're going to
get
have a
coffee.
pause while we go, okay, that's okay.
Just then before they get into meaty stuff again, I don't want to go too long, but.
Why don't we do J as number 14?
What's 13? Oh, yep, right, sorry.
That's
Yeah,
a no-brainer. We can get rid of the revolving funds, that's not gonna, I mean, that'll be a no-brainer.
Wait a minute, 15 is
14 is J. J is 14. 15 is K.
Okay.
Yeah, then you might as well do L.
16.
16.
Yeah. M is another no-brainer. We ought to try and get these on a
All
consent
right,
agenda.
then you got,
Now we get a little bit more fun.
then we could get fun. We could do N and O are both about dispositions, so throw town hall in there too.
You know, the King Philip one, I don't know if the King Philip representatives will be there, I would assume, to explain that. I don't
Well,
know
then
if
why don't
you
we
know.
do that? I mean, that should be a pretty cut and dry, too.
So that's X.
Talking
as
about for the
18.
revolving fund?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be an easy one, but I'm,
What number is that?
It's X.
X.
Page 11, last page.
Thank you.
So that's 18?
18?
Yeah, we can't hang on to them forever.
I agree.
Actually, do we want to slip it after the budget?
yeah, I'm kind of thinking,
So then I would, let's do the school playground.
At the same time.
Yeah, don't you think? I mean, you're gonna have, although, you held it a little bit.
The composition of the meeting changes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, along those lines, you might get somebody trying to yank it up in the beginning of the order.
Well, that's up to the moderator.
I do think if they're going to yank that one up, do you want to try and yank if someone gets up to move? No.
I want to get the town hall one in there when we have reasonable representation. I don't want that decided by.
So do that next.
That shouldn't be decided by 35 people. That's all I'm afraid of.
I was just going to say, and I think Rob's thinking the same thing, the KP one, just for the benefit of the superintendent and the business manager and the KP school committee who are not Norfolk residents, we might want to move that one. I
You
wish
can move
I'd
it up.
Move it up
Right after the budget?
right after the budget.
That's okay.
What number is that?
So that would be number 7.
So X now becomes, how about
X
we
would
call
be
it-
number 7.
Okay, we'll call it 6B for now, and we'll renumber
Right,
them.
okay.
All right?
That's fair.
Okay. That way, straight over.
You're welcome.
I was watching the advisory board meeting the other night, and people walked in for the conservation meeting, people walked in for the planning board meeting.
Like the
It was
greeters.
kind of fun.
All right, so that means we're still at 19.
Where did 18 go? Oh,
Well,
19.
we'll leave 18 blank, and
Okay.
then that'll be the one.
Oh, okay, so we've caught up now. Okay. So we need 20. Article Y is 19.
18 is blank, we're at 19, aren't we?
Yeah,
Right.
now we're- Right.
Well, Article Y is 19. That's the elementary school. Or do you want to,
No, that's okay.
and then we can do town hall
And then we can do town hall.
at 20?
Okay. Which one's the elementary?
Why?
Y?
Y.
Oh, wait a minute, we have all right, so that one's 6B.
It's now 6B. Yeah.
Right, all right. So Y is now going to be 18,
No, 19.
19,
Because we're leaving 18 blank.
Okay.
They're going to catch us up.
and then Z will be 20.
Exciting stuff, huh?
Then we should do the community preservation.
Yeah.
Which one?
Article H and I, 21, 22.
Yeah, those tend to get no debate nowadays.
Well, those will get no debate. N and O should be pretty boilerplate, too.
23, 24?
Sure. They're, I can't imagine a debate on those, but you never know.
P is,
And P is boilerplate,
So that's 25.
25.
Okay, so we got the clerk stuff left.
O would be 26, the clerk.
That's Q.
Q?
Anyways. Q, you mean
Right,
right
Q.
right there,
Yeah.
26?
There might be some debate on that, I don't know. You never know.
And then there's double A.
And double A,
Is that the last one then?
27.
27.
You know-
Prices then
Oh,
time-
we can't leave that to the, no way. No, no
We
way.
gotta put that in somewhere else.
No way, that can't be left to the end.
Well, what do you want to do first? Old Town Hall or that one?
I could just ship this over to Jonathan if you want.
Huh?
We don't have that much time. Do you want to do the zoning? I think we need to do the zoning before we do that one.
I'm okay, yeah, I would.
And the only other question is that other fence post is Old Town Hall. Maybe you want to do that first before you do.
The debate on the voting process should be held with the largest number of people. I mean, that's just logical to me. So We need to get that up front.
It doesn't go into effect for this meeting, though.
No, I know it doesn't.
But you want the full audience there.
Yeah.
All 75 people.
What's it?
It's getting mailed out to see that too. So hundreds.
You got to
How
do
would
the
you
budget
feel about,
first.
we could, how would you feel about taking the capital one off and making that one number 7? It'll get the largest audience. Largest audience will be there right after the budget.
What do we have as 7 now? What letter was
7 is G, which we're going to IP anyway. So we just don't even put it on the warrant and move that article to number 7.
The thing I'm wondering about is the zoning articles might give you an opportunity to see why the two-time rule doesn't work.
Or
'Cause
it
you're
might
gonna-
give you an opportunity to see why the two-time rule does work.
Well, I think the budget lends itself to that, you know,
But I
particularly if we
want
get-
to talk about this article tonight anyway. I just think it deserves to have the largest number of people there. It's their article. It's their, we're bringing it forward for the voters to consider what they want. So you want, you want the largest audience possible to have a say.
Yeah.
7's fine with me.
So make it 7?
Okay, and we'll just get rid of the capital one. Okay, Sue?
Yep.
Can we talk about that one for a minute? Sure. I have been asking a lot of people their view on this, including the advisory board the other night. More people would prefer to see a limit than have it, from what I've heard. More people would prefer to see a limit than have it open-ended. Which is the way we have it now. I personally would like to go back and reconsider that. I want to change it, but, and I favored this one to begin with. I don't, as I say, I don't have a dog in the hunt, so it's not a big issue. But I think, to me, the right answer is a bit of a compromise, and say that you can speak 3 times, and that it can be suspended on any given article by a motion if accepted by the moderator, which was one of the options that we considered. And when I brought that one forward to people that were not supporting the change, they were okay with that change, because it still limited it, yet it broadened the opportunity for debate, and it did give the opportunity on any given article where there's a lot of information to be shared that the moderator could suspend it. And that makes sense to me. I think that's a compromise. I found a lot of folks very reluctant to go back to the open-ended deal. Just with the feedback I've had. And I've talked to probably 50 people. Granted, that's not 6,000 voters, but it was a diverse group. And I would venture, no one voted, but I would venture a guess that the planning board would not be supportive of going back to it, based on the conversation we had. Not that that matters. We've disagreed with the planning board before. But I'm not even sure I want to go back to it. You know. So, I'm going to turn this way.
So
What are your thoughts?
I thought we had 3 times. So this
No,
article.
this is open-ended,
This is back to open end.
This is all- this is-
back to how it was.
basically, yes. The time limits are still there, but there's no limit on the number of times that people could speak at town meeting, which is the way it used to be, but it was without time limits. So you still
They
have the
have a
time.
time limit here.
You
They
still
can
have the
speak
time
unlimited
limits.
amount of time.
Right. But people don't want to see someone getting up 18 times to talk. And that's what they're afraid of. And we've all, at least those of us that remember those days, like you and I do.
I never saw 18 people get up to talk. I saw Frank say, is anyone who hasn't spoken, okay, anyone who has something new to add. And when some jerk was jumping up and down in front, Frank ignored him, called the question, and we went on. This is the job of the moderator. That's why we elect a moderator. The moderator moderates the meetings. If it's 3, then we could have a chess clock up there and a computer and a robot ticking off, you know, your barcode on whether you've spoken or not. So you guys do what you want to do. I'm opposed. I'll speak my piece at town meeting.
Opposed to what? Changing this from what it is here, you mean?
Yep.
You want to leave it as is?
Yep.
not saying a word.
No, I'm with Rob. I mean, I think, then I still think it's up to the will of the people at town meeting, what they want to see. And if the people Jim spoke to come to the meeting, then they can vote it down that way too. If they don't want to, go back to open-ended. I mean, the time limit does limit it.
Okay. Well, I don't agree with you guys, so I will more than likely get up and propose an amendment, and so we'll have a double debate.
That's what we want that. We want that.
No, it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I mean, we don't always have to agree. That's fine. I think it'll go down to defeat. I'd like to see it broadened, and I think the way it's worded now would not be favorably received by the voters, and I think
Well,
I
tend
think
to
that
agree
you
with
need
that,
I think you need a compromise that would be accepted by the voters that will get us
Then
to
someone
the
can
same
offer
place.
that at town meeting as an amendment.
I will.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. Then it gets up to debate, yeah.
Okay. Good.
You know what article we don't have,
What?
coincidentally, is anything from the business community asking for a change to the sign bylaw. So, at some point, we're going to have to decide, sometime after town meeting, we can decide
Yeah.
whether or not we want to continue that moratorium. I know Rob is opposed to moratorium.
He liked his executive order, though. Remember, he liked it that way, though.
Executive
Well, I don't. We
order-
can't rescind a Garrity executive order, can we? I don't think.
Moratorium-
I don't think that's rescindable.
It was in favor of freedom.
Yeah.
That's true.
You made that very clear tonight.
I'm for freedom, the freedom to speak, freedom to set up your med mal dispensary.
Whatever turns you on, buddy.
It's ironic that we're having this discussion after we saw just 2 short weeks ago a rare display of the real value of the U.S. Senate and their rules on debate, where Senator Rand Paul got up and spoke, had a real talking filibuster for 13 hours, 12 hours, on a topic that he cared passionately about, did it the right way, not one of these 60, I filibuster, okay, we can't vote on it. Things a real one. I think that, and that stuff started here. New England is the home of town meeting, and it's apple pie and motherhood, man. Jim's about to throw me out of the meeting.
I don't know what's in his coffee tonight, but it's working. For Rob, you
You
should
gotta
share.
have some fun with this stuff.
How many senators were in the room listening to that?
Well, there are at least 4 asking him questions.
It's democracy at its best, my friend. Yeah. These are good debates. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, the purpose of town meeting is to get information out to voters. They get to decide, and we just recommend, and it'll be a good debate. Yes, sir.
While we're on the, speaking of the issues on the warrant article.
You need to grab a microphone and introduce yourself.
Or you can just come
Or
on.
come on up here. Come on up.
I'll say.
We get visitors so rarely. We're thrilled to see you.
We get confused when somebody shows up.
Throw anybody off. So, Christopher Henry, 30 Boardman Street, Norfolk. I'm hoping, while we've got the warrant article open and discussing these issues, that maybe we can slip another one in.
Well, the warrant is closed.
Well, you seem to be adding several items to the warrant as it goes, so my impression was it's either open or it's closed. I did come by, I did get my 10 signatures. I missed the cutoff by a day, and my hope was, with the signatures, along with some of the bylaw things that we're trying to make change, that this might help with some of the zoning articles that people are considering. What I'd like to present is perhaps adding or accepting Kids Place, the 2 lots that are owned by the town, consisting of Kids Place and the path that runs along the MBTA, and having that considered as open space.
I'd have to get counsel to talk about that. I'm not sure we can do that. I'm not sure we can accept that.
Because these were all in before we closed the warrant. We talked about them tonight, but they were
But
in.
you're going to open the warrant in order to make the changes.
No, we're not. No, no. Warrant articles are amended by us, by town council. All those are amended.
But they're in.
But the articles aren't added or changed. The only thing we can do is take it off.
Can I ask that we ask council to consider that?
Well, council doesn't decide whether the warrant's open or closed. That's been the policy of the board. The warrant's been closed for how long? When was the turn-in date? Do you remember?
He came into the office, the warrant
The day
closed
after.
on Wednesday. You said you came up on Friday, but we're not open, but
Right.
you were in the beginning of the following week, so,
Right.
but it's been closed a month, I think, at least.
This is the first opportunity that I had to come before the board. So my hope was, I'm not asking anybody to say, hey, yes, we're going to do this. I'm just saying, hey, can we put this on the warrant and have the discussion at town meeting and let the voters decide?
Well, my point is, I'm not sure it's that simple, even if it is on the warrant. What I was referencing in town council is whether or not that's even a legal article.
Well, can we ask that question?
That we can do.
Okay. So can I submit this and have them consider that?
I can't speak for the board.
Like I said, I'm not looking for a decision from you as far as
No,
whether this is a good
the
idea
issue,
or bad. Just-
the issue is that tomorrow night is probably the last night of the advisory board.
Right.
And we don't like, no one wants to bring an article, especially one of that nature. That's going to be a very interesting discussion.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be brought forward on the 11th hour.
Well, my response to that is that I had thought that the Articles 10 and Mr. Kelly's property as well had been decided. And it now, once I saw the meetings and I saw, hey, it's coming, it's the advisory board sort of end goal is to get that passed again through further discussion. My hope is that maybe this brings some clarity to people that it takes Kids Place off the table. And eliminates that as a possible. I mean, when you look at it, it's directly.
No, I understand.
So,
Let me tell you what we're doing.
Yeah.
There were unanswered questions about that.
Right.
In fact, I'm the one that spoke to it. I don't know the answer. We will have that answer by town meeting. We don't know whether that property was deeded, how it's deeded, what it was purchased for.
Right.
We will. I mean, there's a record of it someplace, so we'll find it.
well, we've been hearing that for a long time. I mean, it's
Well, that
been an
will-
ongoing question as to how Kids Place came about.
Well, that question, to my knowledge, only came up in the fall town meeting. That's the first time I've heard that question asked. The first time it's come to me was in fall town meeting, and we will have that answer before spring town meeting. We will know the answer to that. And that may or may not influence people in terms of how they choose to vote.
Okay. Well, I think that a lot of the pushback and a lot of the opposition that came to some of those articles that you brought.
Is the concern about traffic on Boardman Street.
Exactly.
We
Is a
understand.
direct correlation to this article that I'm
Right.
trying to get put on. My hope is that if we're able to take that off of the table, it answers a lot of the questions that people have, or questions and concerns that people have about the effect of what those changes are really going to mean to the people that live in that residential
Right.
area there.
I mean, I'm just one opinion, so
Yep.
it's the pleasure of the board.
Well, it'll be on the fall town meeting warrant. I mean, you've got 10 signatures.
Yep.
So you've created an article. There'd be a citizen's petition on the fall warrant.
Right. My hope is the spring, so that we're able to pay. I mean, I think the importance of this article is, how it relates to those other zoning articles. That fall town meeting may not matter if we're not able to get people to fully understand what these projects and these zoning changes mean.
Can I just give you some practical advice? It's not any different, really. And actually, if you had this in the Springtown meeting and this passed, it would make it easier to zone the thing, to upzone the piece, the Kelly piece.
Isn't that what you want?
Well, yeah, but it's not what you want.
I'm not. Okay.
And-
I'd like to make that point perfectly clear right now. I'm not against Paul Kelly developing his property. I'm saying that I want to see it done appropriately, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a partnership with the town as a hand-in-hand developer with him. If he's going to do the project,
can I
it
see
should, stand on its own merit. So I'm not against his project at all. I certainly feel a lot better about it if
Sure,
I know
I understand.
that this place is off the table and that there's no chance of a temporary access road coming in there, or temporary roads here in Norfolk have a way of becoming permanent.
I understand your concern. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, but practically speaking, nothing's gonna happen between now and the fall that would make
No,
fall
but,
town meeting
but
less
your
meaningful.
point is valid.
Those articles all go hand in hand.
They do. I don't disagree with you.
And we
I-
talked about linkage, actually, and decided that couldn't happen. We talked about that at a meeting, a couple meetings ago, whether we could link this concept to the rezoning concept.
That's what town meeting is for us to be able to sort of hash these things out.
Yeah, but
and-
town meeting is for that, but there needs to be a public process
Mhm.
around understanding and hearing of those articles prior to town meeting, and this has not been the case here. That's my major concern, is that,
We do mail the warrant now, right? I mean, so.
but we have public hearings.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not as simple as just, turning on, I mean, we're at the tail end of this process right now. We have our last advisory board meeting last night,
Yeah.
and you're asking us, this is a fairly substantial article.
Yeah.
And and I mean, not only does it provide some protection and security for the residents, but it takes an asset away from the town that may or may not have another use. Once you restrict it, it's gone. And I'm not suggesting there's any plan for that, because I don't know of any plan for that. Don't read anything into that. But as
You
a board,
understand how that very comment right there leads back
No,
to people's
but-
uncertainty about the,
but
the article.
you have to understand we play different roles. Okay, I mean, our role is to serve the overall best interest of the town.
Absolutely.
That is our role. And it isn't always going to be favorably viewed by everybody that's there. But we try very hard to look at, okay, I've never made a vote ever. I've made votes people don't like, but I've never made a vote that I honestly and sincerely did not believe served the town's interest. I mean, that's the only reason we're here. We live here too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want, and I'm a great believer, and you've heard Rob say it extensively tonight, we're a great believer in the democratic process. You guys decide,
Yeah.
not us. You guys run the town. We just recommend.
Right.
But there's a process around how that gets out to the public and how it's communicated. It involves us, it involves the advisory board. This should actually go to the zoning bylaw study committee as well.
Well,
and
that's sort of also what town meeting is for.
no, there's a process before town meeting.
Okay.
There's a whole hearing process that goes on for months.
But the whole point is that you're able to get 10 signatures and then you're able to
In
get
it,
on the board.
absolutely. But you
Until the
do it
warrant's
with
closed.
you
But
do
the
it
10
with.
signatures wouldn't necessarily mean that then it has to go to the advisory board.
You're missing my point. Anybody can bring forward a petition, and we would never reject it to the warrant. But there's a time and a place for that to happen.
Well, because after
But
the
it's
date.
after the deadline.
It's
That's- I mean,
it's
that's-
after the deadline.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a deadline there. And
So then it can be vetted on. I think
now
that's what I'm trying to get
we're
at.
a month and a half after the deadline, and you're asking us to put this on the warrant. That's the problem I have.
Yeah.
No one's arguing that you have a right to put it on the warrant. You do.
Yeah.
But it's after the deadline. And so it has no opportunity to go through the hearing process.
Okay.
That's the problem I'm having with it.
Okay.
And it's not an insignificant article.
Well, I mean, it's two pieces of property that people have said, yourself included, we have no plans for. We want to try and protect this. and keep
Absolutely
this
none. That's my.
as an asset to the town. This whole area has been rezoned, and lots of changes have come into this area. With the whole Gumps Farm project, and I really feel like we're left hanging out in the breeze here a little bit without including this. I think asking people to vote on some of these other articles without those protections is going to be hard. But you do what you think is best
Well,
for the town.
I'm going to speak only for me.
Yeah.
Okay. On the record, I agree. I would like to see that space. I'm one vote. So in town meeting, I would vote to try and keep that space as is, for whatever. I mean, I don't want to put a building on it. There are a lot of issues with that property, especially with the housing authority and things like that. But I'm just one person. That's my citizen vote. That's where I would position. So you've heard that loud and clear.
So not for open
But
space.
but my role here is an entirely different role. Okay.
I just want to be clear and understand that. So not for open space.
No, he said
No,
he
I
was.
didn't
He
say
was-
that.
Okay.
I did not say that.
Well, that's why I was asking for the
No.
clarification.
Open space is a very broad definition. I mean, it could be conservation land, could be open space, it could be a number of different things. I would not like to see it developed. Okay? Now, whether we designate it as conservation or open space, but I'm saying that as a citizen voter, not as a member of the Board of Selectmen. So, and I have frequently had to put on a different hat And if you watch town meeting, you know, we've brought forward things that I didn't support. I didn't vote that way as a citizen because that's my right as a voting citizen. But as a board member, it did serve the best interest of the town. So, you know, we're always in that kind of conflict. But I am a great believer in process. You have to follow a process. Otherwise, anyone can show up. We could get someone else coming in an hour from now with another petition saying, you know, we want this on the warrant.
Yeah, well,
You
but that's why
can't-
you guys are here, is to sort of look at these things and to.
But that's why we have.
Deadline,
But,
because then it would
but-
never
but
stop.
that's
I
why
get
we
that. I think
establish
that's the
deadlines. That's why we
problem.
establish
Yeah.
a process,
Yeah.
so that we don't have to deal with those things. That's the reason we do it.
Okay.
It's a board decision.
Again, I think it's the deadline because it opens us up, and I think this is some great ideas. One, because I live on Medway Branch, so I have a vested interest in that. So I'm a
Well,
little
but you're
torn.
not in a butter, so
Yeah.
you're entitled to the
Yeah,
opinion.
but I'm close enough. But I think it's just not the criticism is wrong. It just opens up. If there's a deadline, we got to stick to the deadline. I know that drives a lot of people crazy because they're trying to review stuff and get stuff done, and then that's otherwise
It's a
we just
valid
open-
issue. I will not argue the
You know,
issue.
you can't stop.
And I understand why you
anyone
want
else
to link
coming
it.
Well, I just question that the article, you know, that the warrant is closed when, I mean, today's meeting is.
Closed for new articles. I
No,
mean,
no, you're totally misinterpreting what happened here.
What about the adding of the
zoning articles?
the districts and all
They're,
that?
they're all on there.
They're already on
They've
there.
been on the
They're already in
warrant
there.
from day
It's just
one.
they're
These are
redefined.
just wordsmithing.
Yep, they've all been here.
No,
Open or closed?
no, it is closed.
It's been closed.
It is
since
closed.
we closed it.
Look, you're not being fair. I know
I'm
you.
trying to be, yeah.
Well, but you're not. You're totally misinterpreting what happened here tonight, okay? Everything we discussed here tonight was already on. You heard us go through and number them. They were already on the warrant. Nothing has been added. It wasn't reopened. It has been closed. What we do now is we go through and wordsmith them. These all go to council. Council will recommend wordsmithing changes in order to get them approved by the Attorney General, because we're lay people. We're writing them. Council reviews them. They change them. The final print will be the same understanding of the article, but the words may be different. But it's not a different article. It's the same article with the same intent. None of that has changed. We didn't open a thing tonight. So let's make it very clear, that did not happen.
I mean,
By the
what
way,
we-
you've spoken twice, so you're done.
You can speak, he wants
Well, we
you,
never get-
he should never,
Unlimited.
what are you, wait a minute.
Also, Chris, too, they
making
try to
the
avoid
point.
doing
No,
what's
I
called
understand your
placeholders.
point.
They might come up and say, I want to put an Article J on there. It's going to have something to do with open space. That's why we asked for people to give even some more. And like you said, all the things that Bob was redressing here, they're all on there. Pretty much the same word, but, you know, he redefined some.
We haven't
of the
added
districts,
anything to the article.
But to your point, you know,
Yeah.
as opposed to going to
Now,
double B.
So we've got our
It-
first fall town meeting article. It's got 10 signatures.
And Robert, to your point, I mean, we can't do anything with that property until we have another meeting and say we're going to reuse, you know,
Well, actually, that's
reuse the
a very good point.
But I think that the.
It would give people
I
a
hear-
peace of
I hear-
mind,
I
yeah.
hear what you're saying, and I agree with it fully, and I'll vote for it in fall town meeting. If you want me and others to be able to come around to some of the other zoning articles that you're putting forward, I want to feel like there's a certain level of protection that's there that presently isn't, that I feel like this adds. And this allows people to look at that other article and say, okay, maybe that is the right place for that. I agree that the downtown area is the area for the density. If we're going to have it, the downtown is where we need to have it. I'm not sure whether that's the best place for it, or if there aren't other properties that are presently in the B1 district that aren't developed that would be better fits, but that's another discussion. What I'm saying is that if you want to include that particular piece of property, I would prefer to have some other protections put in there, and I feel like this article addresses that.
But let me explain something to you, just not relevant to that property, but something that I don't think was clearly understood at the last meeting. Whether it's in the B1 district or not in the B1 district, he can still develop it. He can still put in homes there. The issue is that when he's outside the B1 district,
Oh, well, only
let me finish, please, let me finish.
Sorry.
While he's outside the B1 district, he has one option,
Yes.
40B.
Correct.
Which can be friendly or unfriendly, and that was an interesting debate. But he has one option.
Right.
If you bring it inside the 40B district, he has multiple options, all of which can be very friendly and work within our zoning. So it is, frankly, in the advantage of the town to have it within the district, because you can't, if people, I think that evening, and I know some did because they came up to me afterwards, voted because they didn't want the development. Well, that's their right. It's okay. I mean, everyone has their reason for voting the way they vote. But what they need to understand is that by not bringing it into the B1 district doesn't stop that. They voted for the wrong reason because
Bringing it in doesn't stop it either.
Well, but the point is, he can do it either way.
Right.
He
Oh,
can
exactly.
develop
Just
the
give it more
land
options,
either
that's what Jim
way.
said,
Right.
By bringing it in, it creates more flexibility and allows us a better opportunity to manage it. That's the reason.
Possibly, yes.
Possibly, but if it's outside the district, it's less of an opportunity because there's going to be a 40B. That's the only way he can develop the property.
Actually, it gives you a better defense on a bad 40B if it's already in a densely zoned area.
Absolutely
And they
right.
come in and he says he wants 60 units, and your zoning already allows for 23 or something like that. You have a much better defense saying there's not a compelling need to get that number of units. You're already in a high-density district.
Norfolk has no defense against a 40.
Well, actually, we've turned.
Actually, that's not true.
We beat one in
I
the
don't know.
mid-90s. We beat one in the mid-90s,
That's
and
not
that's
true.
a 40B up there, and it's actually pretty. It's a decent one, isn't
Absolutely.
it? I mean,
Yeah.
so.
We don't have, we are at a little over 3%. And we're clearly vulnerable, but we're less vulnerable now than we were 3 years ago.
Absolutely. But I don't think there are many towns that have a good defense against 40B.
Well, Medfield didn't.
Right.
Yeah, but Medfield had a different set of circumstances. They had no affordable housing trust, they had no affordable housing plan, they had
That's-
nothing in place to prevent that.
Help me help you. That's what I'm
Well-
saying here. Help me help you.
But we're not trying to buy votes here. That's-
I'm not
okay?
asking you to. I'm asking you to put forth an article on the
That-
warrant,
well-
let people discuss it. If they don't want to vote for it, okay. and
But
we
your
move
very point when you started the conversation was that if this comes off the table, it will help people, it would make people more friendly to perhaps having that project come in. That's another way of saying that you're going to get votes. And I'm not sure I like that.
Okay. Well,
I mean, we don't want to buy votes here.
I'm not trying to sell them. I'm just trying to say, how I would feel personally as that one Norfolk voter.
Well, I'll tell you what, I will make a motion to open the warrant. Do I have a second?
I'm sorry, I can't support reopening the warrant.
No, we have a problem. I mean, it just because it opens up not just to this, it just opens up for everyone
is-
else. I mean,
We have tried and failed for so long to keep discipline on the town committees, and we've managed to keep them disciplined this year, and they got their stuff in early, and people had extra meetings and worked late and got everything in on time, and to do this on a fairly significant article, I think would be breaking faith with the people who volunteer week in and week out in the town. I don't think it'd be fair. Like I said, it's our first, we got our first warrant article for fall.
Why didn't you come in sooner?
I really wasn't aware that it was coming back. I try and be vigilant. I try and watch the meetings as often as I can.
There are other channels,
But it was an issue that I didn't realize it was coming up. I pulled it together literally as quick as I could. I did come in, she said, the day after, and they were closed.
But why didn't you come right in after that? I mean, we've had several.
I came in the day after it had
No,
closed.
no. Like you came here tonight. We've had 3 meetings, I think, since the warrant closed.
Yeah, my impression was that it was closed. My understanding was that you guys were discussing these articles today. I thought that was
Like it hadn't opened, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, so you-
that-
oh,
that
I-
the warrant was
okay.
being
Came in,
open
Marion
for that.
told him the way
Yeah.
she does.
Oh, okay. So you misunderstood that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry. I
that
apologize.
was
Okay.
my hope of that you were opening it, and I was going to be able to
Okay.
get it in
Makes
with my
sense, yeah.
10 signatures. So,
Okay. Well, then that makes sense.
yeah.
sorry.
So Chris,
Marion trained you well.
Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursday nights, what do you have open?
I'm always watching. I'm doing the
Well,
best
no,
I
because
can.
we got some board openings. Best way to know what's going on is to be on one of those
There you go.
boards.
Head recruiter.
Do we know the answer to kids? We don't know the answer. Do we know the answers to Kids Place yet?
Bob Bullock and Ann do. I don't. I mean, they said they found it and they would
The
share it.
answers to how it's deeded,
Correct.
because it might already be Article 97 land.
It might be a moot point. We don't know that yet.
I don't. Like I said, Ann came and
probably
told me she knew it. And
She wouldn't tell you. I know it, but I don't
Is
understand.
this a state secret or something?
I don't know. Yeah.
It's for him,
Sorry,
him,
I didn't- I
him to
was
know and
you
us
don't
to
know.
find
You really
out.
don't
I don't know. I told you Ann and Bob Bullock know. And
Text Ann. You don't have your cell phone number. Text Ann and find out. Or is there?
Well, I would, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I
Okay.
yeah. I'm very sympathetic to what you've done here. don't, I'm torn. Well, I don't have a second, I gather.
No.
Well, you're submitting it, right?
I would
This
like
is a
to,
formal
yes.
submission, so if nothing else, it's on the fall warrant,
That's great.
for sure.
And I can keep my copy. you
Oh,
keep
absolutely.
yours.
We only need one.
All right.
Yeah.
You don't get to keep it.
But can I get your phone number?
Sure, absolutely.
Here, don't say it over the TV. Just write it
Now,
down.
if you had 100 signatures, we'd have to call a special town meeting.
I got to steal your pen.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Why don't you give him some more tip, Rob? I was going to say, 10 seems
As,
easy to
as,
get.
as,
So I'll
my,
take
as my
the-
friend to my left would say, I always have a lot of pens.
They're other people's pens.
Yeah.
I have heard this in the discussion.
So you have to pay attention,
it's,
Chris.
it's not true. I want you to know that. It's not true.
Okay.
All right, maybe it's a
Have
little.
second.
Maybe it's a little true. It's just absenteeism that I take them. That's all.
Thank you for your time.
Well, what I want to do is give you the answer. That
I would love to hear it.
yeah, me too.
All right. Thanks again.
And
Chris.
maybe it takes the issue away.
Well, let's hope. And if that is the case, I'd love to hear that at town meeting.
Well, you will.
Yeah.
You'll hear the answer at town meeting one way or the other.
All right.
Yeah.
There we are. Thank you, John.
All right. Thank you.
Chris. I just think it opens up. I mean, not that one. This one's fine.
I feel
You can't
badly.
put them on the merits because then it's not fair to anyone else.
You know what
who
I
has
feel
10
badly
signatures.
about? He missed it by one day.
That's why we have deadlines.
I mean, again, because we keep slipping them out. I'm
That's
not-
what bothers me.
He came in, I talked to him, Marion wasn't in. I told him he was welcome to come back and talk to Marion.
He didn't come back.
in one day. Yeah.
I wish he'd come in sooner. It's just not fair to bring an article of this significance at the 11th and a half hour, one night before the final advisory board meeting.
What's that,
It's just not fair.
There you go, sir.
Well, that was a surprise. Wow. I feel badly about that.
Well, but as Jack and I were saying, I mean, practically speaking, we can't do anything
Well,
of a dangerous nature without another town meeting.
well, I don't think an article of this nature should come on at the 11th hour, no. It's just, it hasn't had a hearing process, and that's just not fair.
I mean, and your points, I thought, we haven't thought about what to do with this property. I mean, and
There are no plans.
And if we'd had it-
But it doesn't mean we should just, without even thinking about it, give away a town asset.
right,
in a
no, that's my
restricted
point.
way.
I think, if this had come in 2 months ago or a month ago, we certainly could have put it on the top of the pile and said, all right, let's figure out other than this, what are the other options that we want to at least think about? I'm not saying we want to do them.
We should probably start doing that anyway. It's going to come up for fall, right? Shouldn't that be something we should now
Yeah.
be thinking about?
Yeah, I think we were.
Once we find out.
We made the decision to focus on Gump's, the Kids Place, reestablishing Kids Place, and then, then we'd go on after that.
You didn't get a text from Ann, did you, by any chance?
No.
Why wouldn't she tell you? Oh, well. Okay.
I know there are other people who, if we ever sold Old Town Hall, would be interested in moving the parking over there. And we've heard that before. People have said that.
We have.
So,
Create more parking? Yeah,
Need more.
if to replace, like, if we took the parking away at Old Town Hall.
move the parking over to Kids Place.
Yeah, that's been mentioned before, so.
Much shorter walk.
Yeah, I used to cut through that path to go there all the time. It's great.
It's illegal, buddy.
Well,
You
You can't cross the MBTA tracks.
I didn't. I just hopped on the train the other side. I really pissed off the guy even worse. I used to get off there, and he used to chase me.
Oh,
I
yeah,
jumped
that's
off.
not good.
I figured, because instead of waiting 10 minutes for the train to go by, I'm like, no way. But they were supposed to lock the doors, and I used to get in fights with them all the time.
That's unfortunate.
No, the MBTA owns.
Okay.
Oh, you talking about where the old trail tracks used to be? I don't know.
What?
Oh, and we were talking about the old MBTA rail bed. whether or not the MBTA has an easement there. I'm sure they,
Midway branch.
Well, let's be sure that, I mean, that's a legal petition. Let's be sure that that gets on the fall town meeting.
all right, talk about the,
That would be a very bad precedent to set.
and you tried to set it.
No, I wanted him to have, I didn't vote for it. He's entitled to having it heard. Every citizen is. And so that motion was made with that intent, so that it could be heard.
I get so confused.
I'd like to make a motion. If I may. I'd like to name Old Cart Path as the street name for Oakville Estates off Stop River.
Is that Colonel Oldpath or?
No, just Old Cart Path.
I second.
A name of historical significance.
Okay, hang on one second.
Further discussion?
Yeah, but hang on, though.
She's got it. She's good.
Oh, okay.
It's the first one.
I got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Want to keep going?
Sure.
Go for it.
I make a motion to allow the NCL to hold their annual Nearly New Sale on Saturday, May 4th at the DPW from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And to, there was a second request.
Collection days, yeah.
Oh. If the board would.
Oh, yeah, and also allow collection days on the collection days at the DPW on the following days: Wednesday, April 24th, and May 1st from 9 to 12 p.m., and Saturdays, April 20th and April 27th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Further discussion? Do we get a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to allow the Friends of the Library to install a banner on Town Hill for their book and bake sale and allow them to conduct said sale at the DPW garage.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If we sat, if I sit here long enough, maybe
I
we just
gotta
make a motion to adjourn.
get that out of my mind.
Yes, you need to.
It's just, you know,
Yeah, it stinks.
pardon?
It stinks.
It just, irrelevant of an agree or disagree, that's not the point. You know, people, it's a shame that he missed it by one day and that he didn't come back, because that's democracy. That's his right to bring that forward. It's just, anyway, okay, I'll get off it. Budget.
Budget. So, I'll start with simple. Jim came up and stole some of my sheets earlier. just
I always
for
do.
the record.
Yeah.
Paper and pens, it's my livelihood.
So there's still some work to do, clearly, as you will see in a moment. We still have an unbalanced budget, more unbalanced than I was hoping, but
Have we spent all of our printing money and now we have to downsize everything so we don't buy more toner?
It's the size of this print, yeah. Font 2.
There was a plethora of information on the sheet that required such a small font.
I apologize, Mike. I didn't realize you were having
there
trouble.
Some of us are blind, you know, and the arms aren't long enough to
Oh,
read
there is
this.
writing on that sheet of paper.
So the state budget obviously is in. I don't have a timeline yet with the state budget, and unfortunately, the last few years we've been able to have resolutions, kind of identifying how that municipalities will be held harmless, or there will be some level that we can expect. So, I think overall, most towns anyway are going with the idea that state aid will be level funded. What is more, a little more fluid for us is all of the, particularly in the school budgets, and really it applies predominantly to KP and Tri-County, is the minimum local contribution calculations. I went to the Tri-County meeting today, which is always very interesting. And our Tri-County budget is up to $589,000, so it's not insignificant anymore. I think when I started here 10 years ago, it was $130,000.
Actually, 89.
89, yeah.
I remember the number.
So we're up to, I believe it's 45 students at Tri-County. And but the minimum local contribution will really spin how it, and there's some significant changes to that formula this year. in the way the tri-county calculation is done. So that, and the governor's budget is relatively controversial with all of his new tax revenues and the way that minimum local contribution is calculated. So there could be a big, a relatively big shift in the tri-county budget, and the KP budget, the minimum local contribution, is a big part of that as well. I don't know how much those are obviously much bigger numbers. The percentage shift will probably be less, but so anyway, that's number 2 issue. Third issue is the effect on health insurance costs. Again, the governor's budget has a lot of the governor's proposal has changes to the health insurance. One thing that is relatively significant for us is the impact of surviving spouses. Right now, we don't contribute to surviving spouses for employees. So, employee retires, he or she and their spouse are covered. If the employee passes away, the retired employee passes away, then the surviving spouse can still be part of our plan, but they pay 100% of the cost. Under the governor's proposal, we would have to pay for 50% of that.
5-0?
5-0.
Do you know a number? You must have a number what that would be.
Yeah, it's a
roughly.
5-figure number. It's in the 20s. So that's not the biggest number in the world, but certainly an impact. A bigger number is health insurance. We have our renewal proposal from Maya, which is Blue Cross, in our case, Blue Cross Blue Shield. We've also gone out to bid. We've got one proposal back. The number looks very nice, but the plan design, we don't know. We're still studying that, and that has to go through the Insurance Advisory Committee, which is an employee committee made up of all union representation. So we're digesting that, and then we're waiting for 2 more proposals to come back. If we do make a change, we'll have to have some negotiations with the Insurance Advisory Committee. Determining the King Philip level of funding, or the King Philip funding level. In the budget I'll give out in a minute, there's 2 levels. One is their requested level. One is a level that is similar to the percentage increase that we gave them last year. That number really is I guess, somewhat just picked out of a hat. So it's whether or not last year's number was right, the percentage increase or not. I guess I'm, for lack of a better word, I'm looking to not be the only man making that decision. So we're still trying to schedule that meeting with the chairman of the boards. I'm hoping it's going to be on April 3rd or 4th. We're still waiting for there was a conflict, and we're waiting for one of the other towns to figure it out.
We don't expect the other 2 towns are in stunningly better financial condition than we are.
No.
Okay. So they're going to come in with the same mindset that you do. You have.
I would think so. I mean, Plainville's only good news is they fared very well with Tri-County, but I suspect that means that, the chances are that they're, well, I know we are in the best position as far as new student population at King Philip. So
Yeah, Plainville's picking up.
yeah, Plainville and Rentham both went up percentage-wise, and we went down. So the minimum local contribution, though, number we continue to get killed on because it increases. Even though our student percentage goes down, our funding percentage goes up. And then finalize the revenues. That's not a huge task, but right now I've left all of the revenues flat, and I think Jim stole all those from me.
There's a revenue sheet over here.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
He's sharpening the pencil.
I've looked at the excise taxes, and they're not up as much as I hope they are up. They're up a little bit from last year, but obviously
I didn't touch it.
I appreciate that. I brought the tax revenues up 2.5%, and then added new growth. I think we need to sit down and talk about new growth. John Neese has given me some information and will give me some more about. We've got some. Knock on wood, we've got some good new growth going on. So hopefully we could squeeze a little bit more out of that than we have the last couple of years. Between the Pulte homes, Fern Ridge, and De Placido keeps on rolling along. Hopefully we'll have And we've made some more progress with the second solar field, so maybe there will be some more permit fees from that. That helped us out last year, and we'll move forward there.
And it should be, that would be an outright rental agreement, right? We're not talking
That would
about-
be a rental of our property, but for the construction, there would still be the
Yeah.
building permit and electrical permit fees, unless they catch on. And I just threw on there, we have to determine if there are other sources of revenue. The next piece of information I'll share with you as we leak out information here is the debt. This is the sheet that we look at every year. You are welcome. This shows you our general fund and our exempt debt. And let me give you this.
Are these fiscals? Fiscal 2013, fiscal
Yes, they are.
2014?
That goes along with it. The exempt debt, the non-exempt debt up at the top, you obviously can see, there's some movement down. Obviously, this year, it's really flat from last year. Next year, it goes down a little bit, and then in 2016, we see some more relief. Obviously, I say it's going down now, but it depends on what we do, next spring or next fall. If we decide to, we do have a number of, some of the larger DPW vehicles are, I'm not saying they're going to be up this fall, but they're certainly coming in the next couple of years.
You have the new purchases in here, don't you?
I do.
I see it under the police. You have the other ones as well?
Yeah, those are just, we labeled them police, but those are all the vehicles.
That's the 227 vehicles.
What's that?
22713.
That's just the interest on the, I think that's the date of issue. I think the date above that is incorrect, the 6/15/2011. That's on the exempt debt, if you look at a combination of the bottom of that page and then the next sheet, I guess if you go to the next sheet, I printed a little bit bigger so to help you guys out.
You're a good man.
In color, too.
Appreciate that. The bottom part shows you what exempt debt we have. King Philip being, still $847,000 next year. The H. Olive Day School construction, we are finally done paying for that. The library expansion is $212,000, and then the Freeman Centennial School is now all the way on the books at $1,576,000.
Why did these numbers not?
What's that?
Never mind.
The revenue up top matches that as it should. In addition to that, the good news is we still have 2 more years of receiving MSBA reimbursement for the H. Olive Day. Those old programs, they were reimbursing in arrears. They were making us fund the whole project, and then they would reimburse. So in 2014 and 2015, we'll still get $325,000. The bad news is it doesn't help us out budgetarily. The great news is it helps us out on the tax rate. So that impact on the tax bill, for this year, it's really offsetting the increase on the Freeman Centennial School, so we won't see that. We won't see a bump that we otherwise would have. And we won't see it again next year. We will in 2016 probably still see a little bit of an increase just as that reimbursement from the MSBA finally falls off. This is on the addition to the Freeman Centennial. Would you have a question here?
No, the Freeman Centennial number, never really looked at it in that way. A lot of money.
What was a lot more? Oh, the Freeman Centennial, yeah.
Yeah, 1.5 million hitting us in 2014.
Yeah.
This is the big year.
Ouch. So, Jack,
Rob?
why is exempt debt on this page different from exempt debt on this page?
Because it doesn't have this is town debt.
Oh, doesn't have
This
KP
page
in it?
includes King Philip.
Okay. Set him up, knock him down.
Here's your answer.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look at that.
Thanks, Ian.
Skin ye shall receive.
Ian's watching TV tonight?
Was I?
Yeah.
No, I actually had just got
Oh.
home and
Somebody texted her.
what's that? I don't even know, but I had it in my hand.
Can we see it before you announce it?
It says nothing, yeah.
There's 2 pages, one's a map and one's the actual deed.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you, Ed.
There you go. There's 2 pages, right? So one for you. No, you need one of each. Jim.
Give me that back. Stop taking my paper.
All right.
Look and see what else. So there's a letter also in here from the Board of Selectmen from 1989.
Can I see that?
Yep, it was asking if they could use the land. And it's actually, oh, you know what, it has the deed, but then it also has the assessor's map. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just make copies if you want. Very odd piece of property.
At some point, was the right-of-way joined, legally joined to Kid's Place?
Not that I know of.
On the assessor's map, is it still showing us 2 separate lots?
It's not on the other maps.
And the septic for the...
Yes.
Is that on the right-of-way, or is that on the?
Oh, that's the whole front. Where the grassy area is, it's that area.
Oh, so there are pipes that run under the right-of-way.
Yes, matter of fact, they were raised, one of the things we did, that area was dirt, and the manhole covers were like this high. We covered it and grassed it. DPW did it a few years, well, more than a few years ago now, probably 7 or 8 years ago now.
It was purchased in 1956.
Pardon me. You're gonna let in.
It's pretty straightforward.
Purchased for what purpose?
Town use.
Yeah, just general municipal.
Yeah, general municipal use.
Yeah, that I knew. I was kind of joking when I
Yeah.
said, can I lie? I'd love to say, no, it's recreation, but it's,
Well, it is what it is.
I know, I
I don't
would,
want to make
yeah.
anything up. It is what it is. And there's nothing, is that the whole file? Is that it?
Yeah, well, they're copies of the playground that goes on top of it. but- Want that, right?
And you didn't get any, when you went to zoning, or did the town go to the ZBA at all to construct this playground, or just to the planning board, or what did they do?
That was,
Who approved it?
well, I guess the good news is that 25 years ago, or 20 years, was before my time, but I've not seen, I have to think about this. There's another,
Well, there's one piece that's missing, from my perspective anyway, I think you would agree. Someone had to authorize the construction of this. The purchase of the land, for those at home, the purchase of the land is, when we purchased it in 1956, is for general use, it's unrestricted. So the town bought the land as land, if you will, like we do any other parcel of land, but it's not specified at time of purchase as conservation, open space, recreation, or anything, it's just town-owned land. But when you built the playground, you had to go through someone had to go through a permitting process to do
it
that.
actually wasn't recreation that built it. It was a community build.
But still had to be
Yeah,
permitted.
right.
Someone had to allow this to be built.
Well, actually, playground may not have fallen under the building permit regulations. Playgrounds
But-
are, so,
But the board voted.
I understand what you're saying, but it's like a
Somebody,
building.
you can't just go onto town land
Put something
and
up
build
with-
something. You can't do that.
Maybe
You
back
can't,
then they
you
did,
can't
right.
go, town owns land all kinds of places. You can't
Right.
just go down there and build a playground. Somebody has to authorize you to do that. And so somewhere there's a record of that authorization when this was built.
I can look in another file that someone, it's actually, again, it's someone's personal file, they were getting sort of getting rid of it. So I can go downstairs and look to see if I have
You see
something
what I'm
of
saying?
that.
Yeah.
I'd also look at the minutes of the Board of Selectmen meeting Monday, April 24th, 8:45 at Freeman School, because that's when the
Yeah.
petitioners were going to present a plan to the selectmen. So
What
they-
year?
So I think it might, my point.
1989.
1989.
So I think
4/24/89.
even though there was a recreation commission, it was
was
a
a different
community
committee.
build. So, but I may have some other pieces of paper, and I think that's actually where I got that. This is something that I've just put together. So do you want me to run down? I mean, it's right there.
If you can, I mean, so, yeah, I mean,
I'll
because
be
the
happy
issue.
I'll be happy to look.
You're terrific, thank you.
Yeah.
The issue is that, and you know the process probably even better than I do in this regard, someone had to authorize this, and there could have been conditions
Go
placed
down and see what I
on
can
that
do.
process. That's not uncommon,
Let's see what I
and
can
so
find.
that's just, you know.
Because again, if this is Article 89 land,
Do you want us to go, we can go grab the minutes for 4/24/89 if you want.
Yeah. Let me go up and look. And do you want me
Want
to
this,
see
want
if I
this to
can
correspond
Yeah,
with it?
Help
it's
file?
become an issue this evening. And
in the Board of Health?
You guys okay with that? If we can sort this out tonight, that would be a good
we're
thing.
not breaking the open meeting law, this is warrant related, so.
Yeah, just don't, anything she gave you, I don't want to, we should make copies of if you want to make copies.
Did I keep one out? I
Anybody, I don't want to accuse anybody, but I don't want anybody to take originals.
don't think I have an original.
We just have all the copies. The original letter went back with Ann.
We just
Yeah.
have these two pieces.
Just saying.
Don't keep looking at me like that.
Oh, you're having a tough night here, Jim.
I am.
You sure you want to do this again?
Jim had an argument with himself. It started.
No, I feel.
There's some more stuff now?
I
can tell.
feel
You still-
really
it's
badly
eating you.
for, he went,
Proposed employee benefit.
citizens, he does the right thing, and I just wish he had come to us sooner.
Give,
I just feel badly.
And you
about it.
you don't
feel
have to-
arbitrary.
Jim has one, so.
Irrelevant of the issue, taking the issue off the
Rob,
table, I just
He
feel
said Jim
badly.
has one, so you get one.
So it's lingering with me, I apologize. I just feel badly for him,
Excuse me.
because that is democracy.
Nice jump in the employee benefits.
All right, back to the budget.
All right, so employee benefits is the first one. We're going from $3.48 million up to $3.74. The two drivers of that, as always, are Norfolk County Retirement, going up $55,000 or 4%. Really not crazy, given the times. And then, but medical insurance, right now we have it at going up 11%. That was Julie's recommendation. I think I can scale that down some, and more to our percentage increase, which is 7%. But well, she was making some adjustments there for that surviving spouse that I talked about. So that that number will still be a significant number, somewhere in the upper single digits, if not. So then if we go to the summary budget, as it stands. So I'm showing you right now, and I want to give you some more information, actuals for fiscal 12, but those aren't on here tonight. But I have two fiscal 14 budgets. One is the department request, just kind of as they came in unscathed, and then one, what I'm calling my recommendation. We'll go through it. Feel free to. You haven't seen this, so feel free to ask or slash.
Can we yell hold?
Sure. I think obviously the Selectmen, town administrator, human resources budget is one that you would probably want to hold. So I'll just hold it for you. That's going up right now somewhere between 17 and 14%. What I'm proposing is one thing that's already happened is bring Scott up to the human resource director up to 30 hours, because that wasn't a part of the hold.
Thank you very much.
You gonna give them originals?
We're never gonna, I'll keep an eye.
I know, that's a dangerous thing to do, isn't it?
Oh, it's $23,000.
I have had a chance to go through it, so keep going.
All right. Moving down the line, municipal finance, the audit going up from 40 to 43 is throwing that up a little bit higher than the normal percentage. Board of Assessors below that, they
Yeah,
would,
go ahead, come on.
they would like to increase their funding really to try and smooth out the reval process. I'm not sure. I scaled that back some to go back to what we had in 2012, but
Wait a minute. In municipal finance?
No, he's now on the Board of
Assessors.
Assessors.
Oh,
He's
he's
just
on
went
the
by the.
Mm-hmm.
So what they want to check? I'm sorry, they wanted 20,000. That's to smooth out what?
they wanted 20,000. It's for the recertification process. And it obviously wouldn't be a recert year, so I didn't put it under the recert
Right,
line.
right.
It would be part of their general expenses to really get ahead of the
So is he like?
going out and collecting the data.
So it's like do it now, or do it later. Is that what they're trying to say? I mean, okay.
And they have to go out to a third of the town every year. And-
Right.
And instead of having kind of a big rush at the end of the third year, what we've done in the past, he's trying to smooth that out over the 3 years.
If he has to do a third of the town every year, why is there ever a big rush in the third year? Technically, if you're doing a third, it should be equal. I don't know.
He
What
should be
change?
doing a third in the year. And historically, we've fallen, because we laid off the data collector
Sure.
and really that being the primary reason, he's trying to, instead of,
Okay, I'm
he's
just
trying
yeah.
to switch to going a third a year.
Okay, good.
Rather than having that 1 year where we're really trying to cram, a half to a little more than a half, plus doing all the industrial and commercial all in 1 year, he's trying to smooth the whole process out over 3 years. I need to talk to him some more. I'm not sure we're gonna be able to jump all the way up to where he wants.
And this expense is more for. Is this for people? Or is this just outsourced? I don't understand whether or is it equipment?
It's
What?
bringing in consultants who, for the industrial and commercial evaluation of, and it's growing slowly, but it's still growing, so that is becoming more of an expense. It's doing all the personal property, going to your office and looking at your computers.
Oh, jeez. No, not that now. Not one computer. Well, you're welcome to it. I'll do it for you. Okay.
I got a big pinkish shade on the information technology, the facilities budget.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a shade.
Bob put them in, again, when this budget was created, still not receiving, and we still haven't received the credits. We just received the new Constellation bill, but we're hoping with the next NSTAR bill, which is due in the next week or so, to get all of our credits.
It would
so
have to be a negative bill.
It will have to be a negative bill at this point. So, and I should have added this to my tiny list of things to do, is to fix the facilities budget. So there will be, I don't think I even, I've kind of cut it over in the right-hand column. I think it, I'm hoping that, and I'm fairly confident that we'll even be able to cut that farther than I did.
Conceivably, so the way it's drawn now, we should be generating free cash because we've fronted all the expense and not backed out the credits. Because this budget doesn't back out the credits because you produce, what, $350,000 worth of credits a year?
Yeah.
With $100,000 of expense. So you're net $250,000. So we've added the expense, but we haven't backed out the credits. So conceivably, that budget should be generating us free cash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
To the tune of about $200,000.
That'll be the
When
net,
it finally
the net of all the
gets-
credits will be
Yeah.
$200,000, and
Yeah.
how they're going to come in here, I don't know, because there's not enough time in the end of the year
To get a cash payment, or
Right.
to offset $250,000 worth of electricity.
of expense bills. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that wouldn't.
So one of the ways to do that is to back these budgets down even more
You could.
to
right.
save.
So if they're going to give us credits in 2014 for
Right.
2013, I'd rather, I'm hoping we can find a way to keep it clean and keep
Yeah.
1 year in 1 year. But maybe they will cut us a check. But asking NSTAR to cut us a check, which
Don't they aren't they under any obligation? I don't even get it. I mean, aren't they under some kind of?
they're under a contractual obligation to give us the credits.
State rules too. it's the rules.
But they don't give it? I mean, I would just they have a certain time. I just don't understand why it's not enforceable.
We're
or-
arguing that the Form Z, the Schedule Z that Constellation had done was incorrect. And then they had problems with their meter. I mean, it was kind of a became kind of a dog ate their homework
Yeah.
story.
And it's not entirely a unique situation I've heard from other towns.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can you take,
Shock.
you're probably not going to be able to get it all in the same fiscal year, be my guess.
Probably not.
So
It's never as easy as I want it to be.
wouldn't it make sense to, assuming we get it, would it not make sense just to lower the number in the operations budget? The problem with having it roll into free cash is that we don't get to spend it until it's allocated.
Right.
Right.
And so
Yeah, if they're going to basically give us double credits in 2014,
Right.
then yeah.
we should lower those
Then we
budgets,
lower the number. Yeah. And that will be,
which should make a big chunk on that deficit.
yeah, it'll help a lot. It'll, we'll certainly have to remember that for the next year when we have to ratchet those budgets back up.
This is going to take a little thought, though. You're right. It's
Yeah.
So what do you estimate that number would be if you lowered it?
Well, they're going to have to give us,
I mean, we know it's 250, but it's probably going to be about 200,000, isn't it?
I honestly, I don't know. I mean, until I see what credits they give us this month, I mean, you know, they may write us a check. I doubt it, but
Well, if they do, it rolls into free cash either way. So,
and
If-
free
if
cash
we-
isn't bad because that gives you
Well,
a
but
capital program.
if we get the money beforehand, well, however we use it, but, if we get the money, it's the same thing as taking it as a credit. So it doesn't matter either way. It's still going to come out in the wash.
if they give us, let's just say they wipe out the last 2 months of bills, which would help us obviously this current year, and then give us a check for the rest, then we wouldn't be able to appropriate that money until the fall after we
Right.
do the free cash process.
Right.
So I'm sure we could probably talk them into just giving us credits on the bills.
I'm just arguing that the FY14 appropriation can be less than the 646 number.
Yes, I
Yes,
agree with
the
you.
answer
I
is
agree with
yes.
you.
Yeah,
Yep.
probably significant less.
At least 200.
Well, I wouldn't. I don't trust anybody.
Well, it should be, hopefully it'll be 200,000 less than the 717 number, that was,
Right.
the 690 number.
Right,
Yeah, not the 646 number.
right.
Is the 200 to 175 in the school electricity, is that from observed use?
No.
Okay. Do we have any idea is this building as much of a power hog as some of us feared it might be? Do we know? And if you don't know, that's,
No.
Sorry, the minutes are in Old Town Hall.
Oh, nice.
What?
And
we need
the
to get them
minutes were that far back
Are physically in Old Town Hall?
in the safe.
Don't forget to move the safe before we tear down the building.
So then I thought maybe I could get lucky in the septic system. But it's the senior village one, so.
There was a special permit issued by the ZBA. There was no copy of it. So we need to know what that special permit was that was issued by the ZBA.
For,
For the
Kids'
Place?
sewer or for Kids Place?
For Kids Place.
Interesting. Because that might count as a public action which designates.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah. I wonder.
designates it
As 97 land.
can 97 land have a, never mind,
A parking lot on it? Probably not.
driveway through
Probably
it?
not.
Drive with it? Well, but
It's been
notice
done
the
before.
right-of-way is always kept separate in these documents. The early documents all have the right-of-way as a separate piece of property. So that might not carry, depending on how the thing's written.
Was the, and on the assessor's map that you looked at, Jim, there was still 2 different lots?
They tied it together eventually.
No, I don't think it is.
Eventually it got tied together somewhere.
To answer your question, the H. Olive Day School has used $54,500 worth of electricity this year. Freeman Kennedy School has used $46,000,
Ooh.
so $8,000 less. Of course, they have the benefit of the solar on top.
Okay, so that's with the solar offset.
Yep.
Good for them.
I'm assuming, I mean, the solar is spinning our dial backwards, right? Is that the,
I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know what their deal was.
that's my assumption, but Andy will text you shortly and tell you.
Chairman of the Energy Committee will know.
All right.
Planning board takes a hit.
Well, the planning board, I took some money out of their budget because I have, per request of the chairman, in some of our discussions, putting the planner into the planning and development budget, right below it. So there would be some savings for the planning consultant that the planning board uses, I would assume. I mean, that's, we're not going to triple dip, I guess. The police budget, I have a written document from Chuck, but what really he is looking for in what he requested, he's trying to add that elusive 18th officer that we have not, we've tried to add in the past and never quite got there.
That's somewhere over the 125 or
There's a
some.
bunch in the process, doesn't it?
What's that? That's in the 2,095,000. Yeah, in the
Yeah, I mean,
125,000.
yeah,
Yep,
give
yep.
or take.
So right now in the 1,945,000, I have them adding it late in the year. So if we're going to remove that completely, that's a possibility. I'd like to try and get there. We're still operating at 1982 staffing levels. A significant increase in population. Fire department, really, it looks like it's a $118,000 increase. It's really the impact of the full year of
The callback thing.
the callback. That's about,
The expense budget's gone up quite a bit too. From 47,000 in 12 to 75 in 14.
Is that count as training and stuff like that? Is that what he calls expense too? Or
yeah, there's training for the,
And equipment for the newbies?
Well, there is equipment for the newbies, for sure. We're not going to resolve this tonight.
No.
Jim's got paper right there. Isn't that original? Go back in there.
I would just want to hold it out for a second.
Okay,
I
do
will
that in a
not
minute.
take it home.
Keep an eye on your side, Rob. You're in charge of that. Just because it's the original. I don't mind if you take the copy. I don't care.
You can't take it home. It'd be a conflict of interest.
I'll get back to you on that, Rob, in a minute.
Okay.
Go farther down, animal control, it looks like a large percentage, 8%, but it's really a $2,000 increase in the expense budget. Hillary's obviously,
Where is that? Now?
that's on the top of the next page.
Animal inspector. Sorry. Yeah.
Four.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
What is that for, Jack? I'm sorry.
Well, the $2,000 is just, she's, dealing with more and more, I think she's underfunded in her budget, and that's just kind of trying to return her back to where she was in FY11 and FY10. Just that, she's still dealing with animals at her house, and it's just trying to give her some, covering some of the costs that we should be covering. The elementary school at the 4.3% is a $410,000 increase. King Philip, this is obviously their operating budget, not the debt, is, the request is a 17% increase, which would be $1.15 million. As I said, I scaled that back. I may have said 7% before. I scaled it back to 6%. And so it's a $394,000 increase. For what it's worth, and obviously I have several hats on at all times, but when I look at, from my budgeting point of view, I know what this budget can absorb, but that's different than what my if I was trying to build the best school system in the world, what I would try and fund that school at. And, just looking at the population increase in the King Philip School over the last 20 years, it's a pretty steep climb, particularly compared to our, even our local school system. It's, King Philip is continuing to go up. DPW overall, Bob is really looking, it's, I need to give you his summary sheet because it's hard to see it on this, but he's not looking for a significant increase.
You kept it the same what you requested, right? Or at least you have it recommended there?
Right.
Okay.
I did put something in jest, and I apologize, I didn't take it out. Down the road program, we're not getting $1 million from Chapter 90, but it'd be nice if we did.
See you for a week? Catch him.
One of the things that Bob wanted me to make sure, he's trying to add 20 hours in the highway department. We're trying to do that at a relatively low increase. Right now, we have some moving parts there. Our highway superintendent is left. Our highway/ground superintendent is left. So we'll open up that position. There's some couple different options that will happen there. One of the foremen will likely apply for that job. If he moves up, we'll likely eliminate the foreman's position and create 2 assistant foreman positions, one in highway and one in grounds. Grounds really, I hear both from Bob and from Ann, the grounds really needs, as much as, roads needs attention, and that's why Bob would like to add 20 hours there. The grounds needs attention, and I think the fields, if we can support Bob's budget, we can add somebody back into the grounds that will allow us to, whether it's either through contracting extra hours or through additional staff, we'll be able to better serve the fields. Because right now, Ann will tell you that the contractor that's there, and he's putting in the hours that we've budgeted for, but he doesn't give it the attention that it needs to. Back in the days 2 years ago when we used to cut the fields ourselves, our guys, would not only cut the grass, but they'd be looking for problems as they're cutting. And right now, we're just getting the kind of the bargain basement cut deal. And I'm not taking a shot at the contractor. That we asked.
That's just how it would be, right?
We asked him to cut it as quickly as he can and give us the cheapest price he can. So we're going to have to decide whether or not we want to support a higher budget.
We actually have a member of the Rec Commission, don't we?
Do for 2 more months, yeah.
So,
3 more months.
how do their revenues stack up on expenses?
That's a good question. I've asked that numerous years. So I don't.
You haven't got an answer?
I haven't got an answer. Ann's probably listening now. So she'll get that to me. It's usually it's been pretty good. I mean, we funded. You get hit with like aeration and stuff like that, and all those big one-time charges to fix stuff. So I think it's self-sustaining, but revenue coming in goes out to expenses, which is fertilization on all the fields, and then the summer help and stuff like. For instance, we do $1 a day program in the summer, which is really well received, right? It's probably, what parent wouldn't for $1 a day send your kid from like 8 to noon or something, and they have so much in there, but I think that costs us money, right? Because we only get $1 a day,
Right.
And we want to keep it as a community service. So we've talked about raising the fee, but never have, and it's too good to be true. But it's a great it's a great program. But I'll get back to on that, Rob.
Yeah, well,
Jack might know.
Well, yeah, just I guess to reinforce that, what Ann and the Rec Commission ends up doing a lot is, whether it's skinning the softball fields or, they end up trying to do a couple of capital projects a year, and they pay for all of the materials for the fields, the fertilizer, et cetera, through their fee program.
Yep.
The general fund pays for the manpower to do the work of cutting.
I'm not going to get grumpy about a 4.2% request. Can we go back?
Yeah.
I might have been drifting a bit. On transfer station, I notice the expenses are down, which is what we expect because of some of the changes over there. It looks like he's looking for a new position.
Where is
Transfer.
What page?
It's at the top of
It's on
6.
page, in back, page 6.
Okay, wait. We hadn't gotten that. We hadn't got down there. Okay.
Yeah, 34 grand on a new position. It seems like that's
Isn't
around.
that filling the position we didn't fill this year? That's what I thought it was.
Well, we didn't have in 12 either then.
We did. We didn't have a superintendent in 12.
No, doesn't Paul handle both vehicle and transfer? He's the super of both.
Bob is,
No, Paul is.
sorry, Paul is vehicle and transfer station, yes, he is.
And that budget's staying pretty, that's town vehicle fuel, which should go down with our new vehicles.
We still got the old crappy ones.
We got the Hummer.
It just makes up for everything else we
For
do.
every gallon you save with that Ford Focus.
Yeah, it costs
You know,
us more.
Bob would really like to come in. Kind of what I was thinking about today as I'm trying to still piece this whole fiasco together, is that I still find it helpful to do a work session with particularly the 4 big department heads, the 2 chiefs, Bob Bullock and Bob McGee. And I think over the next week, if we could do that, that would be helpful. Because Bob did tell me that answer, and now I just
Okay,
need to
that's fine.
refresh my memory.
Well, if you let me have a free stroke at this right now, I would say we're about 200,000 off.
He is trying to increase 20 hours. I know Jim's already got the budget solved, but he is trying to increase 20 hours.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Bless you.
You mean to get up to the 234 or whatever?
To get it to
Yeah.
234.
20 hours of what?
20 hours of a DPW operator.
Will the townspeople be getting more service?
Well,
he's
he's still, he's trying to allocate more time away from really the transfer station and more over to all the materials that he's been trying to build and the loom. And he would like to bring the cost of the loom up, I think, $2. I think we do 6, it's either going from 6 to 8. I think it's 6 to 8 for sticker holder people and then 8 to 10 for non-sticker holder
Yeah, I
people.
thought the loom was free.
No.
No.
Oh, so wood chips are
What am I
free.
thinking of?
The-
Wood chips.
the,
Wood
uh,
chips.
Wood chips free. Something else is free, but not
If
aluminum.
it's free, if it's free. I got a
compost, I
certain
think,
deal
is
'cause
free.
I paid for
The
it.
gold, black gold.
Yeah, the black gold.
Yeah, that's free. Black gold.
It's like, that's like a loom. I'll just throw that down.
So, for purposes of the advisory board tomorrow night, there are some of these numbers we can tweak.
Yep.
You can tweak new growth a little bit. You can tweak licenses and permits a little bit. We know we've got a little incentive payment on the lottery. Not a lot, but a little. I think it was 35,000 if I remember.
Incentive payment on the lottery.
Extra lottery aid.
Right. I mean, if you combine those, it just conservatively, it's about a $125,000 increase in revenue, not a lot.
How's that meal tax going?
I didn't touch it, but the other 4 restaurants haven't opened this week, so
We're getting
I
there,
think
though.
we're,
On the
and I
corner.
haven't had any takers on the bed and breakfast, how about you? Okay. But that's about 100, I mean, I would tweak the new growth to 420. This is just my opinion. Yeah, I would licensing permits, clearly that's conservative with what we know. When you talked about the human resource position, you mentioned, when you and I talked, you were talking
Yeah.
about 10 hours coming back.
Yeah, I'm trying to,
So that'd be worth about 25 grand.
Plainville and Rentham both have expressed an interest in subletting our human resource director, so
So we get some
if
money
we
back.
do it an intermunicipal agreement, they're gonna have to do a lot of work, among other things, on their dispatcher's budget. dispatchers' contracts. They're unionized, whereas we are not.
I hope we rent them out at full cost.
I was thinking time and a half.
I could put a premium on it.
Time and a half, yeah. It's a $150,000 job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we pay the benefit side, so yeah, you gotta recover some of that anyways.
Actually, you should plug benefits into that.
Yeah, and he doesn't take
It'll
any
be
benefits.
salary
It doesn't
plus-
matter, I mean,
Well, that's true.
potentially.
Well, he's got an overhead rate. Don't we have an overhead rate?
You want to rent the office too?
Hey,
But if you,
You could increase the parking fees down at Old Town
if
Hall.
you took 20 out of that, oh, don't go there.
Come on.
200,000 out of the utilities piece.
but no, that's too much.
Not for next year, it's not. But we're either going to get it one way or the other.
It's 325.
If you put the 125 in on revenue side, and you just took 100,000 to free cash, which for purposes of discussion, we have that at this point.
Which I think I'm using 200, just, right?
You are. Oh, are you using 200 in here? I didn't see it.
Years.
It's on the revenue sheet.
Okay, then it's a 300,000.
200 of how much?
411.
How you paying for snow and ice?
We're not. We're going to give the bill to you, and we're going to see if you can figure out how to pay for it.
We might be able to do some transfers to cover part of it. Transfers from other budgets, like the utilities budget.
All right, then it's a $300,000 cap.
Oh, you take out the planner, that's 75 down, so that's 225.
We could start the planner halfway through.
Good. I'll fight for the planner. There would be two amendments in one meeting, wouldn't it?
Put them up. She's
Wow.
gonna fight for the planner.
All right, so if you did start it halfway through, so you're 250 off.
250 off and not knowing what state aid is wouldn't be our worst.
And lowballing KP.
Well, you're consistent with what we did last year. You know, you going to bring it up or am I?
Which thing?
Enrollment.
Oh, well. See,
I-
that's the thing.
What?
I did, before. can I just-
Enrollment. We learned, we were kind of shocked today to learn about the enrollment numbers in the different schools.
Yeah, and I did talk, Ingrid's gonna come to the advisory board committee, and, you know, we did talk about enrollment, and, you know, I think, so before we
Okay.
preemptively attack them, and I'm not saying you are, but before I preemptively attack, you know, there are some plans for the,
We'll hang on to it. I'll take it home.
I'll take it.
We got it. Oh, so,
Yeah, we won't lose it on you. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Ann.
I'm sorry, Jack, what were you
Oh,
saying?
so there's been a drop in population at the elementary school the last couple of years, and Ingrid said, well, that 3 years ago, I think, when they started making budget cuts and/or flat budgets, you know, they were foreseeing this population drop, so
That's her argument.
she's gonna
right.
say that
Yeah.
they've already made the adjustments for
adjustments.
the
Right.
budget, the
Okay.
population drop that dropped this year. So that's,
I just can't get over 2 years ago, was it? Our superintendent at the time at a meeting saying, your class sizes are excellent, your class sizes might even be, smaller than you need them to be. And now the school has gotten smaller. What was KP's enrollment this year, this last number? You remember?
I know their ninth grade class is the biggest class they've ever had.
They had a couple of classes over 30.
Oh, yeah, my
KP.
kids are in classes over.
It depends, the subject matter is classes. And that's the biggest one, that rolled through the Norfolk system. That's, my son's in that class. It's enormous. I mean, they had to
Oh,
bring
no,
extra.
this is ninth grade now. Is
Yeah,
it ninth?
yeah,
Yeah, they're the
yeah.
biggest class ever at King Philip.
Well, they've gone up. Our enrollment's gone up substantially there.
and their 6th and 5th grade classes now are big.
Right. So they're going to
And
continue.
it drops off.
Then it drops.
Drops off all the way through
Kindergarten.
kindergarten.
Yeah, 'cause
Ingrid did say they've already, done the numbers for next year's kindergarten, and that number jumps back up 20. It's 20 bigger than the current kindergarten. So it's not dissimilar from the 6th grade that's dropping off. So anyway, so she's prepared to talk about that tomorrow.
Okay, good.
Be a good discussion. But, as I alluded to earlier, the King Philip population is basically doubled since 1999. I mean, that's,
Pretty close.
so that's,
Well, mid-90s anyway. Yeah.
Well, it was 1,000. No, it was 1,800 in 2000. Got to 2,100 in 2009, and I don't know what it was last year.
I wrote it on the back of something.
It's gone up.
Oh, yeah.
So for the advisory board tomorrow night,
Do you want to finish? I know
we just-
you had, here's my,
I mean, we want to all agree on what we're going to bring forward.
did you get that revenue?
What?
I got it.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, sorry.
No, it wasn't. Jack was the one holding back.
I didn't have it.
I had it.
was
I didn't
not
know,
holding
exactly,
it.
no.
Let that be noted.
Yeah.
Put
So
that in the
noted.
minutes, please.
Yes, so noted.
Yes, I
Thank
know
you.
that.
Yeah, thanks.
Note that Jim still has Ann's file.
So, new growth, Jack,
Yeah, right now we have it at
400.
400,000.
Are you comfortable at going at the FY12 number?
Yeah, yeah. I think that,
Okay? Licenses and permits.
that's going to,
Now, is the solar impacting that dramatically?
the FY13 number is going to be a stretch for us.
Okay, so you're going to leave that?
Right.
Because I know the solar was a big chunk.
Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong number. Yeah, I mean, with all this new construction, maybe we'll make up for the. I wouldn't go any higher than that if that's what you're
We'll
asking.
hold that number.
Yeah.
Okay. Lottery, we know we've got, I think it was 38. I think it was 38 was the supplemental number.
Yeah, I had that originally, and I can put it back in. I just, all the towns are skeptical of the governor's numbers because of all the changes that he's proposed.
But there is an inclination on both the House and the Senate to be more aggressive with the communities as opposed to more conservative. Would you not agree with that, Rob?
Well, they always say that local aid's a top priority.
Fine, I know they always say it, but they've never gone less than the governor's budget. That I can remember.
I can't remember the times.
No, I think usually they've gone up. I think 2 years ago they went down, but only a little bit. But this is a drastic change that he's proposing. With the sales tax and the income tax and every other.
Good luck.
So I don't.
Well, count the supplemental anyway for now, the number that we were given in the governor's budget. I mean, that's all you can do.
Well, Jack, what's your revenue growth number overall? What's that percentage?
Well,
It's essentially 1 million of 29. So it's a little over 3%. It's under 4%.
yep.
1 million is of 29 is under 4%.
So I would take any budget that's over 4% on this budget, and I would look askance at them mightily. We can't sustain budgets that are higher than our rate of growth.
And we'll lay off people every year. It's the reality.
Well,
I understand what you're saying, but you can't look at it quite that simplistically. There are some budgets that just out of what they do and the necessity of their jobs may have a higher increase. We've got budgets that
Some
are
of
below
them.
4%.
yes, and they tend to be little ones, like $850, $1,600, $143,000. That's a little budget by comparison. You've got these monster ones, you're adding 240,000 in public safety. We're adding the planner. I hate to go back to it, but in a year when when Jack comes up with a $700,000 problem and we're adding a position, it can really scratch my head. Why 30 grand on building liability insurance? Is that where you think the market is?
Because we've got the new asset of the Freeman Kennedy School.
Well, school should pay for that. Or at least they should know that that's, part of their raise.
The insurance committee's still working on that as well, but that's the early indication.
I mean, either that, you get really tough with the schools. I don't know if anyone thinks that we can do that.
I mean, you got the Norfolk, elementary's only at 4.3 anyways,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And we got revenue growth of 4, so it's
Yeah,
the-
every point on their budget's $100,000.
Yep. And KP's at 6%.
And that's about 54,000 per point on KP.
The total growth in state aid for the governor was 67,000. It was 38,399 for that supplemental.
Good job.
I was only 399 off. Not bad.
No.
I have learned never to question your numbers. I verify, but I don't question.
And don't forget, this is a $730,000 problem with 200,000 of free cash rolled into there.
Which we used, I
Last year.
agree with you, but we also used last year.
Plus, we could take out the $25,000 we put in there for snow and ice, too.
Okay.
It's more than 3% anyway.
I gotta look at those 4% numbers, that's all I gotta say.
All right.
That's a 20% increase. Well, do you agree you can adjust the utilities?
Yep, I don't know if
How much do you feel comfortable in adjusting that?
I'd go $200,000 down from last year's number.
Okay.
So from the 690,
Yep.
Yep.
And you said increased revenues 120.
Well, no, it wouldn't be if you're not gonna, it would actually be only about 70.
So that's 156 out of building
So-
facilities.
At least right now, I'd only up at 70,000, Jack. So if you take two, so we're still 450,000 off.
Increase the revenues by 70,000?
70,000, no more than that. You said you don't want to increase your permits.
right? So it's just 20, you guys say
Right,
you're getting
so you're
21
gonna take the
out of it.
38, you're gonna take another 20, I had another 10, take $70,000. I mean, hopefully we can squeeze more out of it as we go through it a little, get closer, but I wouldn't put more than that now.
Is investment income really that low?
Yes.
I know the bank rates are lousy.
It's just we get
Surprised at anything.
There is no investment in it.
fractional interest.
Remember when that used to be 50, 60 grand?
Oh, yeah. And it,
Good old days.
and unfortunately, in the last couple of years, we've had a lot of cash sitting around because we've had the construction progress. So it was great on the borrowing side, obviously, but,
You could put it in money market and lose,
yeah.
actually have a negative flow. Okay. So up revenue 70 and lower the other one 200, 270 off to 7, what is it?
Well, it's
775?
going to be 156 from where it is now.
I'm sorry?
I think it's down 156 from where it is now, I think.
From 646.
Okay, so 156, 70. So 2.25 off.
So we're down to $500,000
So we're down to a half a million.
It's rounding.
with using 200,000 free cash. I am serious though. What's our free cash number? It's like
411. 411.
Okay. Our snow and ice, we're not going to take care of that until we certify next year's free cash?
No, we'll transfer some from some of the FY13 budgets.
'Cause you're looking-
So we know the utilities budget now has $100,000 in it, for example. So that's,
Okay.
a part of the problem. So we'll probably have to use a little bit of free cash, but we won't use all of it, but we should have, we'll have some free cash left.
You'll have.
See, other towns around this area that do their budgets in June have a big advantage.
No argument there. I got no argument against that.
So at least for tomorrow night, we agreed on those changes? For tomorrow night?
Yep, absolutely, yeah, I'm fine. You know, it would be helpful to me if we had that discussion, though, that we, you know, with the, I think the state budget is gonna be late this year.
Agreed.
You know, do we wanna think about postponing the, or, you know, do we wanna have some more time for the budget? I mean,
We did that 3 years ago. We postponed the budget to June.
yeah. I mean, it's April, no, it's gonna be May
Seventh.
Seventh.
We're doing it early. And we moved town meeting in the wrong direction.
Well, we moved it according to our bylaws.
Right.
I don't know, I think the advisory, I haven't talked to Pat about it, but my guess is the advisory board is usually in favor of, they're not in any rush, other than they wanna help usually set the bar for King Philip before the other two towns, but even if we did it later in,
Yeah, I mean, the problem is attendance. You lose, you get a very small audience for a one-item issue in June.
Well, except, to be perfectly honest,
they got,
how much it changes in a budget any year in town meeting anyway. I mean, you do get a lot of questions about it.
Well, we've had very few lately, but I mean, the budgets are.
You don't get a lot of
there's-
number
there's-
changes.
There's not a lot to argue about in these
Right.
budgets. I mean, they're tight budgets. There's just not a lot to argue about.
So why not give yourself more time then?
Well, you're not,
Well, you're only really, it's
Yeah.
just a state that you're fighting
well,
with.
and it's health insurance negotiations.
Yeah, health, well, and you would get a little bit better picture on your year-end revenues, too,
Yeah.
where you are.
if you think you're going to have a late budget, then the Senate won't even be done in June. You know, so we have to roll into July 1st with the budget anyway.
But you will have a better idea about how much, like snow and ice, for example.
Yeah.
If you can kill snow and ice with transfers, hypothetically,
Yeah.
which I think you're gonna come close, it does change the equation. Assuming you don't get two more storms.
Do you have the last several years of transfers in a document?
Not with me, but I could easily get it for you.
Because that might be an interesting exercise to find out where we are habitually over appropriating.
Well, one way of saying that is that, but another way of saying it,
Is that we underspend our budgets,
well, one of the things that I've.
or our revenues were higher than we anticipated.
Which is it, or is it a combo or all of that?
It's a combo of all of that.
Be good to see though, if you had the spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Transfers
it's a
are
combination. Julie has to do, she does all of the rollbacks and, you know, over and under revenues, et cetera. So we have that. But one of the things that I've thought about in my own mind, and you know, sometimes I get in trouble when I oversimplify things, is, you know, like the DPW budget. That's one area where we generally have had a lot of, we've transferred from, particularly back in the Butch era. We've transferred from to cover snow and ice. A reason for that is because of the way we, in my mind, overcomplicate the budget on, you know, for the town meeting vote. You know, we could vote DPW, Department of Public Works, salaries, and then have a few line items for expenses. Because what happens to us, and it's good news in a way because it forces us to save, but it's bad news and we become inefficient, is that we, you know, if we lose somebody in the grounds department, we
Can't move that money over to.
we can't move that money over to the highway department, which, and if we have a, you know,
So it just comes back in the transfers, just saying.
it comes back in the transfers, and we end up with a smaller staff. You know, whereas if we have a good candidate for the highway department at that time of the year, it'd be nice to hire somebody else. So, I've thought about asking you if you want to consolidate the DPW budget.
Because you can still provide informational splits. Where
Like I
it's
do
not
with
a,
the facilities budget.
yeah, it's not a legal split. It's not a split in terms of a vote.
Right.
Like we informationally provide this Chapter 90 money. It's not a vote.
Right. So I could do that.
How much is left in the advisory board reserve fund?
Most of it,
I
right?
don't think it's been any.
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd asked for a dime, have we?
No, we have committed that we either will transfer or ask for fire for $12,000 for the
Peter, the thing that.
for the recall.
So that
For the-
leaves 38 grand.
Yeah, I mean, unless we transfer at Springtown meeting, but
So
yeah.
there's part of your revenue.
Fire and police have turned back some money the last couple of years. You know, one of the reasons they can turn back money is that they're obviously budgeting for some crises as well. If they
And
don't happen, it's good news.
the increase in the fire is primarily due to the recall.
Correct. That's about 60,000, I believe.
Actually, it was 60.
I think it's 60.
Oh, you said 60?
I did say
Sorry.
60.
Okay. I thought he said 50. You and I have fun with numbers.
If we do.
We do. Okay. Well, we don't need to drill down any more for tomorrow night than that.
So I'll make those adjustments, and if I make any more, I'll let you know before the meeting. But,
Okay. Any more in the budget, guys? The mystery files for folks at home. There's still a number of things we don't know about Kids Place, but one thing we do know is that it was purchased in 1956 as just general usage for the town by the Board of Selectmen. So it is, the purchase is not deed restricted in terms of any use. But in 1989, when Kids Place was constructed, it gets a little murky. And there was a special permit issued by ZBA. It's unclear in this file whether that was for the construction or whether it was for the septic system. And there are issues with the septic system regarding the Housing Authority, and the Housing Authority, under this note, says that they have some authority over that property as well. So there's a whole bunch of unanswered questions that we still have to look into. So the only thing we know is how it was purchased in '56. We do not know how everything fared out in 1989. So we'll have to find that out.
if we had a planner, he could probably sort right through that,
I'm sure he could.
or her.
And save
Or her.
tens of thousands of dollars.
So, yeah, what is the benefit? They sort through it, but what, yeah, what do we get out of that?
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
Well, you know, the special permit, you were on the board. I mean, they could have put a restriction on it.
Yeah, I don't know how permanent that would be.
I don't either.
Could that be pierced as? Kind
And this totally, I mean, do you have any understanding of what that is?
I have no understanding what that means.
I don't either. That, for folks at home, says that the Housing Authority has authority over some of that land.
And that kind of sounds like at some point between 1956 and 1989, the Board of Selectmen voted to give the parcel to Housing
Well, that's what I'm
Authority.
thinking, because, you know, the septic system is involved there, and it appears like some of that land might have been deeded over to them.
What's this? Oh, town of
But I
Bridgewater.
don't know.
Yeah.
Really give it.
We need the minutes.
We'll get them.
Couldn't give me out my-
We'll traipse over to
How many
the
weeks?
dungeon tomorrow.
Okay, I'm putting it back, duly noted,
Is this-
and I'm
is
giving
this
it,
set?
and I'm giving it to Mr. Hathaway.
Yeah.
No, it's not second set check.
It's in
this
your
is just one.
hands.
You're missing the Norfolk one.
You don't know if I wanna-
Well, that's for Bridgewater. Bridgewater. I already have that one, yeah. So you have one. You have one.
There's three of you.
Yeah, but I have one of those. You, we're just missing the Norfolk one.
Until we work through this
Take that
budget,
back.
there's no point in.
Just,
Here you go.
in case we wanted to, and I don't have the, Rob, you had sent me the Westford one. When you reminded me, and you sent it to me the second time, or leave the
That's
link.
just Westwood, basically.
It was, oh, is it?
Yeah.
All right.
I just changed it into Norfolk, so I was
Okay.
a little bit more creative.
Oh, it was already gone?
It was already gone off the MMA site, so.
Oh, I found it there.
Well, you beat me to it, so.
Okay.
I only got one.
So you don't need a plan. You got me.
If you run for selectman, you can have every
Forget it.
copy.
You don't want me.
Marion, you'll kill it.
Maybe the clerk needs another role. Now, this is why if Scott was an assistant town administrator, he could do this function half-time and could do.
Scott would be happy to be an
Half-time.
assistant town administrator. Scott is,
He doesn't have any background.
No, but you would ostensibly have hired someone who would be able to do multiple things. And Scott has shown excellent growth in his position, and he does sort of catch-all stuff for Jack.
he does do a lot of catch-all stuff. He does a lot of procurement. He's been doing benefits. He's been doing, obviously, a whole litany of HR stuff outside of benefits.
The thing about a planner is that a planner is also a revenue generator. A good planner, you look at the towns in which they have good planners, they generate revenue.
It's just for you.
They are the public relations
Horizon.
department for your community.
Is it
And
one for everybody or-
they, for example, the issues that we're having down in C1, plan to be knee-deep in that. And I suspect we wouldn't have gotten into some of the issues we found ourselves in. Towns that have used planners have found them to be, in some instances, bringing in revenue in excess of the cost. Now, that takes time. You know, you're making an investment for 1 or 2 years before you begin to get a return on that. But planners should be viewed as revenue generators to the town.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if we had to fund it halfway, you know, I guess if we had to do that for the budget, that we hired the person by January 1, that's better than not doing it at all.
Yeah, it's, you know, there are a whole bunch of things I would like a planner to do. You know, oversee the planning and development staff, for one thing. You know, there will be some transitions there over the next couple of years at some point, too. You know, ideally, I'd love to see that person get some grants, but at some point, I'd love to have a growth budget. But in 10 years, I haven't had that luxury yet.
A growth budget?
You know, budget where you're actually doing some expansion of services.
Yeah. Well, we are. We've been adding some generals here in the past several years.
Well, we've been
Not a lot of
we've been
corporals.
restoring a couple things.
We've been without positions that we should have had for a couple of years, and we're beginning to get them back.
We
That's the way I look at it.
We never had HR, for instance.
No, we had HR on the books for 4 years before we
keep
ever
this,
filled the
Jack?
position.
yeah,
Just looking.
they have it, and then you may have it in your big binder too. I just had it.
Okay. Well, we don't have any more clearer picture of this than we did before.
It's kind of worse.
No, it does not.
It seems like it's worse.
No, it's not worse, it's just
mucky.
unclear. It's just, I don't understand the housing authority's involvement in that.
Well, wouldn't that? Sorry, I missed out on that conversation. Wouldn't that be because of the septic that's there? I mean,
It definitely is because of the
grass
septic.
field right there. Yeah.
But this, it's in your file. The letter dated 1989 specifically states that they have authority over that parcel.
The parcel where the septic is, or the whole parcel, or just the part?
Doesn't clarify
Oh,
that.
yeah, okay.
Doesn't
That,
say that.
Ian was talking about, it's a nice grassy area in that area because it's got a septic, so it's nice.
So at some
Big house.
point, the Board of Selectmen did something with that property for the housing authority. Sometime between 56 and 89, they did something that gave certain rights or portions of that property to the housing authority. I mean, that's what that indicates to me.
Yeah.
So we don't know what that means. I don't know whether it means they just depart that the septic, you know, the necessary buffer for the septic, or what it is. I don't know. That would be a logical conclusion.
probably, yeah, I would think.
but we don't know.
Maybe for future growth too, or, whether it's
Could be.
buffer or future growth of the septic, I
I was
don't
very
know.
surprised to see that. You saw it as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm quite surprised to see that.
We'll have to give Frank Gross a call.
So we've got more, I guess now it's in the hands of the minutes. We do know that the deed is not restricted when it was purchased in 56.
Right.
That we do.
And we'll look to see if there's a town meeting vote sometime after that too.
There's only 33 years of minutes you have to look through.
Yeah.
I know.
Shouldn't be
If they're archived and scanned, right, wouldn't we have to do that
That's
electronically?
right.
Well, the town
If I
meeting
had an
vote in
assistant town
56 did
administrator,
not
he could do
restrict
all
it.
that.
Yeah, so,
There you go.
What was that, Jack?
Um, I said if I had an assistant town administrator, I'm sure
If you
he
had
or
the-
she would have taken care of that already.
AA position you had 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
You know,
What?
The AA position you had 3 years ago.
thinking process through in this. um, I understand the gentleman's desire to package the vote because they are somewhat aligned issues to certain people.
Yep.
I understand that. But in practicality, it really doesn't make any difference.
Right.
He's not disadvantaged at all by bringing this into the fall town meeting.
Exactly. Yeah, because there's so many questions still.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's no, other than it may influence how they choose to vote on the Kelly property, which is their
Right,
free
which I
right.
think is the,
that's the
I
whole
mean,
point.
that's
I mean,
the
that's the
only
whole
issue.
point. If they know it was open space, then
But
nothing could come out that
But
side.
there's no increased risk. Let's say that article passes.
Right.
There's no increased risk to the residents of Boardman Street that anything can happen to that property without having this come forward in another town meeting.
Because we can't, for instance, the only.
We can't
as
do
I was
anything
sitting
without
there, I was
town meeting
thinking,
approval.
Well, we could surplus it because we've been given the authority to surplus, not land.
No, you can't.
Not
Not land.
Wait a minute. No, hold on a sec. What's that vote we do? It doesn't say buildings.
no, that's only for tax title land.
Right. We can't sell that land without the permission of the town.
Right.
Alien tax title.
And
Exclusive of
exclusive of real
building
estate.
land.
So,
Yeah, surplus
you know,
property
if
exclusive.
you are listening at home on this.
Yeah, we can't do anything without town meeting.
There's nothing that can happen to Kids Place prior to fall town meeting.
Yeah,
Because there's no article on the warrant related to Kids Place for this meeting. No one's asking to do anything. Hopefully we'll have all the answers as to how it's structured, but I don't know whether I'd call it getting clearer or getting more convoluted.
right. I mean, I think from their point of view, though, you could argue that they're
I
trying
clearly see their point of view.
they're trying to
Yeah.
fight this before plans be
Right.
made.
Preventative measure.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it might make people more inclined to vote yes as opposed to no, but, it would have been fair if it was in on time. I know, it's still bothering me. Sorry.
You're gonna be up all night thinking about
Well,
it.
You have to figure out some way to make a friendly amendment. Somehow you can bring it in or something.
no, you
I don't know
can't,
how-
you can't.
figure-
You
yeah, you
can't. I mean,
Figure out some way.
it is a substantive article. It's not,
It would be beyond the scope.
oh, clearly. Yeah, I mean, it's,
So, their articles with the C1, C2, C1B, blah, 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 does that address the frontage road?
yes. Were they deleting the section of the frontage road?
I think it's,
The article deletes it.
Right, like, the second one of that,
Right, if you look, it says,
it's R that deletes it.
or
Correct.
deleted.
And
R
then
deletes it.
the other one is S, which creates these new subzones, I think.
Yes.
So it's a different article.
So it'd be interesting, like R could fail again, but S could pass. Or vice versa.
I just want to make sure by mistake we didn't get rid of that article.
No, we did not. It's in section, it's in Article R. Which is a duplicate of what was on the warrant, Article T, for point of information. And I'll say again, none of these articles are additions to the warrant. They were all on the warrant. You know, it is a confusing system to people. Just, you're right, this is gonna bug me all night.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
I'm just sympathetic to that. Not expressing an agree or disagree, I'm just sympathetic to the process.
Our condolences, Mrs. Lehan.
Go to sleep now if you can.
She should go to Europe.
Yeah, she should, yeah.
She's got daughters in town. She can go
Live
stash
next door.
herself over there.
Fortunately, they come with husbands.
Okay. All right, is there any other business? Do we have an executive session tonight? We do not.
It's a placeholder. We'll keep that on there in case there's a last-minute addition.
Okay.
Are there any minutes to approve?
Not that I know of. I didn't get
Any
any.
other items of business, Mr. Barry?
No.
Have enough for one night?
I think I've spent my.
I'm good. No, I'm fine.
Jack?
No. There's a lot of little things going on, but nothing critical.
Was that Cole's score again?
Marion said stop talking, so we should go home.
Thank you, Mary.
Marion
Can't
said
talk
that?
with my guys
She
yet.
did.
Hope you're taking notes, Marion.
Let me just
Sue's
look
been
at-
pretending.
where is it? You know, this is the problem when you take paper, you get too much of it. I'm looking for a note I wrote myself that I haven't found yet.
Oh, okay. Can't help you there. I didn't take it.
You can't help me with that. Just to see if I got things.
Administrative assistant was it too?
Oh,
Oh, thank you for your
yeah. Okay.
patience with the budget.
Covered
It's
it.
been a fun process.
You coming tomorrow night to the advisory board?
Yeah.
Okay, you're coming? Okay. We are posted?
Yeah, I'm coming. Yes, you are posted. Absolutely.
I know we're posted. I saw that.
I wasn't saying you weren't coming. I was going to take the night off.
Pardon?
Just kidding. Never mind. Bad joke. It's late. Let's go.
Let's go.
Punchy.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn?
A second.
further there is no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for joining us tonight, and if you get a chance, tune in at the advisory board meeting tomorrow night. I think they meet at 7:30, and our next meeting is April, gosh, when is it?
My way. I don't remember.
Good thing we paid extra money for those little calendars. Putting it back.
April 9th. Our next meeting will be April 9th. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Good night.
Right.